Low bandwidth. That's great, even though I'm plugged in. Yeah.
You sure you might want to turn the Wi-Fi card off just to be double sure? Oh, there we go.
We'll see. Yep.
Nice. We are live.
We're live. Yeah. It looks like it's doing okay on YouTube, so even though it says low bandwidth, I don't know it. Hey everybody, hopefully the technologicals will work. This is hardwired and it looks fine on YouTube, so I don't know why it's telling me low bandwidth.
The technology.
Hey, yeah. So I'm actually, everything's darker than normal, so that's good. Not blinding light here. Alright, so thanks everybody for joining us. We're going to give everybody some time to filter in here like usual. Welcome to the 2020 recap for the Storm and Roto Grip releases, plus our Pawsitive Tales Kansas City fundraiser. I believe that we've already triggered the first two giveaways, are the drawings, which I'll talk about here in a minute. We've got some pretty cool prize packages, something that you'll notice to the general this way direction, I think, of me on the screen, is a package that Carolyn Doran Ballard sent for us. So there's a couple signed jerseys. We also have a couple of signed pins from your 2011 Masters champion Tom Hess and the Steve Nagy Sportsmanship Award winner BFM Brad Miller. That will accompany the jerseys and a couple of the signed player cards. You guys are echoing. That's great.
That might be me if you've got my audio coming through the TV and the speaker.
Well, yeah, it's not supposed to be coming through the TV. This is the first time this has ever happened. I have the audio cable plugged in from the TV to the speaker, so it should just be coming through the speaker. So, I don't know. There shouldn't be any feedback, but... no, I think maybe the thing is I've got you also coming through the computer. Well, no, it shouldn't be coming through the computer. It should be coming through the... Yeah. Yep. It's coming through the TV, so I have no idea.
Huh, go figure.
Oh, nobody else has it? Okay, there's no echo.
Okay. Yeah, oh, okay. Obsidian's headphones must be broken or something.
Oh.
RIP.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's been a minute. How's it going, Luke?
Yeah, it's actually going pretty good. How are things going in North Carolina?
They're going all right.
You're surviving the COVID okay, I see.
Yeah, I tested positive for COVID last Friday, I believe, Friday of last week. So voice is a little weak. I just felt like I had a common cold, but I haven't been able to leave the house for 10 days, and it is boring as heck, as the kids would say.
Yeah.
I'm ready to get back to bowling. I actually think you can see it right there, the heavyweight belt over my shoulder.
Yeah.
I was supposed to defend that 2 days after I had tested positive, so I had to get that match pushed back. So that defense is happening this Sunday after Christmas, right before I fly out to hang out with you guys for New Year's.
Oh, okay. Sweet.
So that should be fun. Oh, what's up, Lou? Motive Lou is in the chat.
Sweet. Oh, yeah. What's up, man? Yeah.
But it's been just kind of plugging along. I've been watching a lot of flow bowling the last 5 or 6 days just to kind of at least try to keep my eyes sharp as much as anything else.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Well, pretty much all I can do right now because I don't really have... I'm in an apartment, and I'm pretty sure if I practiced bowling across the living room, the landlords and the neighbors wouldn't be too happy. So
yeah, that'd probably be a big no on that.
Yeah, didn't want to take that chance. So,
all right, let me share the. Let me get on and share the stream on the. On the YouTube land, so. Or the Facebook land, I guess. I already shared it on Facebook.
While you do that, Luke, I'm going to post a link in the chat and plug this real quick. I just posted a link for the equipment review survey for 2020. So obviously a big part of what Luke and I are going to be doing tonight is kind of just reviewing essentially a year in review of the equipment that Storm and Roto Grip came out with. And we want to hear what you guys got, what you enjoyed, and any other. We've got a few different categories in there, so just let us know your thoughts. And we've seen some of the results already, but we're going to actually reveal the results of those live on stream later this evening. So
okay, cool.
Link is in the chat, and go do your worst.
Yeah, everybody check out the chat. You might have to Yep, he's got it up there. So everybody, if you want to participate in it, cool. If not, we kind of put something, or he put it together and put it out there so that everybody could kind of vote on their favorites. And we got a couple different categories for things this year. So we're going to be talking about all the releases that we had this year. Plus, we're going to be doing the Pawsitive Tales fundraiser. We did this in May for Angel's birthday. And if you read down in the description, we've got all the information down there. So the links for PayPal and Venmo are down in the description. $10 per entry. Yeah, those. Yep. If you scroll back up to the top, he's got the donation links. Please do not send anything through YouTube. So if you send anything through YouTube, the super chat function down there with the dollar symbol, that will come to me. That will not go to the rescue. That will not enter you into the drawing. YouTube takes a percentage of that, and so the full amount would not be going to the rescue and would not be entering you into the drawing. So,
the awesome news is, even so far, because y'all started collecting donations earlier this week, I believe.
Yeah.
We are already at $1,150 raised.
Yeah, so we've already
triggered. That's before we turn the cameras on.
Yeah. So that's already triggered the first couple giveaways. We're going to do a giveaway every $500 raised, and so we've already triggered the first couple giveaways. So included some of the things on the screen. What we're going to be doing is you're going to get one of the signed Carolyn Doran-Ballard jerseys. You're going to get one of the signed player cards. The first drawing is going to get in addition to that, is going to get the Tom Hess signed pin, as well as a Panda Pack patch, which you can see there, wrong direction.
Right shoulder.
Yep. There we go, that one, up there. Yep. Here's the actual patch. It's all nice and shiny, and you'll also get one of the we have several different of these really nice rubber patches that are stick-on. So we've got black, blue, teal. We've got the Bolt logos here. We've got the Squad RG patches are pretty nice too. So we're going to be sending.
I've been using those the circular storm patches on a lot of my jerseys recently. They hold up really well.
They're nice.
The glue on them sticks like crazy.
Oh my god!
I can run it through the washer and the dryer, and they go absolutely nowhere. I've never had a patch do that.
That's one of those things, if you stick it on the shirt, you might as well just go ahead and sew it on, or just leave it on there, because it's just not going to come off.
That's pretty much the same thing. Steve G asked in the chat, does Panda come with the patch?
I wouldn't want to pay the shipping on that.
I wouldn't want to pay the shipping on that. I also wouldn't want to deal with Angel on that.
Yeah. So the Panda, unfortunately, does not come with the patch.
Yes.
But anyway, we've got that stuff. The second drawing is going to be for the other signed jersey from Carolyn Doran-Ballard, and another one of the signed player cards, in addition to a Panda Pack patch, whatever else, the Storm patch, and then the Brad Miller signed pin here.
Brad Miller.
Yep. Once we get to $1,500, we will be giving away one of the. And I guess I don't have one of those. One of the new Storm triple rollers that's got the blue, the kind of electric blue metallic trim on it. We'll be doing one of those. A heckin' urethane shirt. This is the real.
There you go. Steve Angel just said my Panda in the chat.
There we go. Okay, so yeah, I'll try to hold this where the stuff isn't at, but you'll get a heckin' urethane t-shirt and a Panda Pack patch, and we've also got some old kind of vintage bowling cards from back in the late 80s or early 90s to send too. So once again, the donations are open now. You'll find all the information down in the description. We do this for a local dog rescue, which we have fostered several dogs for. If you look at the thumbnail for the live stream here, we have all of our fosters featured on there. We also own a couple foster dogs. Missile and Aspen are a couple rescue dogs. And this is a tough time of the year for rescue shelters in general, because a lot of people get dogs or puppies either for the family or for their kids at Christmas time, and then 2 weeks later they realize, oh crap, what the hell do we do? And so there's a big influx the first couple weeks of January for shelters, rescues, whatnot. Now, this specific, what we're raising money for this specific one, it's the same rescue that we did for in May. It's a local rescue, again, that we foster for, Pawsitive Tales, Kansas City. Here locally, the owner, or the lady, the president, the manager, founder, all the above, she lost her 21 or 22-year-old son in February, I believe. He went to sleep and never woke up. And she started a memorial fund in his name to help cover a bunch of extra costs for people that already have pets. Say that they find out that their pet needs an $800 surgery or something like that. That fund specifically covers a lot of extra costs, surgery costs, for people that may be lower income families that are having trouble and need some, maybe just even food for their dogs or something. I think they've already donated they've already paid out like $40,000 out of the fund just since February to help people with medical costs and whatever else. So that's what this specific. That's where the funds for this are going. I also have that linked in the description if you want to check it out to yourself and make sure it's on the up and up and just find out more about it. That's linked down there. Once again, every $10 you donate will get you an entry into the drawing. We're drawing for prize packages every $500 raised. Once again, like James said, we're already at $11.50, and I think we've probably got more coming in since we've gotten started. So yes, there's another $50. So we should be at $1,500 pretty quickly, and we did raise $2,000 last time we did this. And if Angel and I need to pitch in a little bit extra to get us up to the next level, then we'll definitely do that too. So without further ado, while we're waiting on 9 o'clock, we're going to draw at 9 o'clock Central. So if you're on the East Coast with James, it's going to be 10 p.m. Eastern time.
Or about an hour and 50 minutes from right now.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to put it.
Wherever you are, fast forward an hour and 49 minutes, fight me. But fast forward that amount of time, just under 2 hours, and come back and we'll do the drawings. So one other thing, I don't know if you mentioned this, Luke, I think we're doing it this time, you don't have to be present to win.
Oh, yeah. So you don't have to be present to win. So, yeah, if you win something, we'll just go on ahead and we'll contact you through email.
Yep.
Make sure if you send, I think she's actually got, she can communicate on Venmo, and it automatically tells us what your email address is on PayPal anyway. So,
yep. So there's ways there to be able to reach out.
Yeah. So we'll be just fine. Just send us some money for the doggo puppers, and I've got one right here that's getting scratches. Hi, Meastal.
So I guess as we kind of talk this through, I've got the list of equipment this year in chronological order. So I figured we just kind of step through month by month, and then once we get to the end of it, we can kind of go back and look at the categories and name our picks for the year, and then off we go. Yeah. So without any further ado, January brought us one ball, and it was a new ball from Roto. It was the UFO. Updated cover and a new core design. This was the Equalizer Technology, I think was the name.
Yeah.
The ET core, the one that looks like a light bulb with a bunch of holes cut out of the side of it.
Yeah.
So I guess what were your thoughts kind of throwing that ball, and how much do you find yourself using it these days?
Initially, when something like that comes out, or like a proton physics comes out, it's like, well, it's probably going to look pretty good. Especially, I love Nano and Microtrax. I think it's Microtrax S20. I love Nano, but anything that strong, you're just not going to be able to use the vast majority of the time, especially when I drilled that when I was still bowling right-handed. And even though I liked it, I didn't really throw anything much. I didn't even get to throw my idle very much. So throwing something asymmetric with the strongest NRG cover that they put on anything to date, it reacted good. It looked good in the videos. I just couldn't throw it because it was too strong. But it wasn't one of those. Well, I don't really like it. I liked it and wished I could have thrown it more, but it was just too strong.
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree with that. And that was the UFO is an interesting ball for me as well, because I actually drilled two of those. The first one was pin in my middle finger. That was one that I drilled when the ball came out, and then I drilled a second one. I think I drilled it shortly before I flew out to bowl with you guys back in June at Ward Parkway Lanes. And it was a short pin. I went with like 2 1/4 inch on the pin to PAP.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
Yeah. Your
I
short
think
pen.
at that point, that was when I realized, number one, just how strong that ball was. So I didn't. It was one of those balls where I didn't really have a ton of a chance to throw it,
Yeah.
just because like kind of similar to you being on the right side. I rarely need anything more than a phase two strength
Yeah.
wise,
Uh huh.
and it's like even the gap up from a phase two to a UFO is just insane. And so it was one where I didn't really get a chance to throw it very much. So
And
I've since gotten rid of both of mine, if that tells you anything.
yeah, the interesting thing about the UFO too is that it's both pretty early, it's pretty dynamic and torquey down lane. So it's one of those that kind of fits the typical staffer kind of, clears the fronts, revs up hard in the mid lane, and then still flips. Well, it kind of does that. It's really punchy down lane for a big sanded ASIM.
For as much as it hooks a lot down lane.
Yeah, yeah.
Even more so than a physics, which kind of caught me out a little bit.
Yeah, which is interesting because it's pretty early. It starts digging in pretty quick, and it's pretty strong, and it slows down quite a bit, but it still punches down lane a lot for a solid ball. It doesn't
Yeah.
punch a lot comparing it to something
It's
like an
not
astrophysics.
Yeah, don't expect it to be an astro past 45 feet. It won't be.
Yeah, because a lot of the time when I say, well, it's pretty strong on the back end, I mean it's pretty strong for a solid ASIM, which means it's still pretty round and smooth. It's just pretty, strong on the back end for the category or what it actually is.
Relative to the category. That's something I think Storm has done. Storm and Roto Grip have both done quite a bit with some of their big snow tire type releases. I'm going to spoil it a little bit, but the amount of downlane punch they provide can actually bring a little bit more usability in some situations.
Yeah.
Versus a really like slow and smooth and kind of chuggy type of motion, which actually is a pretty good segue.
Yeah.
Going off of January, February brought us two balls on the Storm side. One of these was the Pitch Purple, which was I still don't entirely know what the cover is. It's urethane, urethane-ish, question mark, shrug emoji. I don't heckin' know.
Yeah.
Same core as the Pitch Black, which is pretty high RG, pretty low differentials, typical urethane stuff.
Uh-huh.
The other ball that came out in February was the Omega Crux. This was a sanded pearl asymmetric with the Catalyst core from the rest of the Crux series. And I guess for me, neither of these were balls that I threw a whole lot. Number one, Pitch Purple, I haven't thrown much just because urethane, and I don't throw urethane like ever.
Uh-huh.
Besides, I should have had it at Swiss Trios, but I just get it out of the way so Angela doesn't give me crap later.
Yeah.
The Omega Crux was really interesting, and this is something I didn't fully understand until I was shooting for the Proton a couple weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
Is the Omega doesn't see the fronts as much as like other snow tire stuff, like an RST, like a Proton, like a UFO.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also not as much off the spot as any of those. Like it's almost kind of like clean and lazy, but still early in kind of a really odd way.
Uh-huh.
So it's not something I really need, but I could definitely see the use. I think if I bowled on a lot more like patterns on a regular basis, that I would probably use that ball a lot more. And I remember when it came out, guys on tour started using it right before the Tournament of Champions, and you could not flick a booger in the paddock without hitting at least 5 Omega Cruxes. And I mean, Zach Prather used it the last game and a half on the right lane on the TV show to win the Tournament of Champions. So it definitely, I don't know. I'm not sure if this is just kind of rose-colored glasses with the Alpha Crux, but I think the Omega has established itself a little more as a true tournament ball than the Alpha Crux did, versus a lot of people still kind of look back at the Alpha Crux as one of the greatest balls of all time, when really the Alpha and the Omega are not that dissimilar.
Yeah, they're pretty close. And the interesting thing for me is that, kind of like what you said, I think the Omega looks to roll heavier than it actually reacts. It's almost kind of an MVP attitude type look, just like stronger. Yeah. But it's got that very kind of rolly, chuggy look, but it doesn't actually hook off the planet, it doesn't start rolling at your toes, and it doesn't really boom down lane. And also pay attention to the fact that most of the tour players don't use ASIMs because they're just too much off the spot, unless it's something like a Crux, or they've started using the Rubicon here recently, but they've been bowling on a lot of more house type patterns on the clashes in the league and all the stuff we've been seeing. So that's a little
and
bit...
also that lower int diff on the Rubicon kind of brings that range of usability a little more into their comfort zone.
Yeah. So yeah, and then the pitch purple is one of those things that looked pretty good while we were filming for it. It's like, okay, it's got urethane-ish tendencies, but it also has a little bit of back end too, and so this is probably going to end up being okay. And then it didn't really seem like that ball had an identity.
Yep.
So it just...
I could see that.
It wanted to be urethane and it wanted to flip at the same time, and so unless you're, Carlos,
yeah,
we got a buddy that just looks great. It looks great with the pitch purple. Now he's two-handed. He's got really slow ball speed, but it looks perfect for him because it's urethane-y, but it's not like really slow and pukey urethane-y. So it's a great matchup for him. So
yeah, it's definitely an odd ball, but at the same time, when it, like you said with Carlos and some other guys, I saw a few people at Swiss Trios throwing it.
Yeah,
and they just literally pitched a tent going up the 5 board and stayed there for the entire weekend, and they kept them in play for all of it.
And I think the other thing that we talked about with the pitch purple too is that with more surface, I think it would have been a little bit better. I think it was a little too smooth, or the surface was too high out of the box.
Yeah, mine did not look at. Is the factory surface 1,000 grit?
I think the factory surface is 1,000, but I think most people got theirs at like 3,000 or something, because mine was...
That's what mine looked like.
Mine was a little reflective out of the box. It wasn't shiny by any means, but it was fairly reflective.
Yeah.
No, the purple is not true urethane. It's kind of a urethane like resin blend or something, because it does lane shine, by the way, too.
It lane shines a lot. It lane shines like a resin ball, not like a urethane ball.
Yeah.
Its factory surface is 1,000 grit. I've had phase 2s come out of the box and look way duller than my pitch purple did coming out of the box. It was the closest thing I could compare it to with my pitch purple is probably what is this 3,000 Sheen balls? Idol Pro.
Idol Pro.
It looked like an Idol Pro like surface wise when I pulled it out of the box.
Yep.
So mine, I don't think I even threw it like that. I think I sanded it down instantly because I knew this is urethane. It needs surface. That's how urethane works.
Yeah.
And, not true urethane, but kind of in that same general reaction space. And so that's kind of where that came into play.
Yeah, I didn't use mine a whole bunch right-handed. Then I plugged and re-drilled it for lefty when the fast pitch came out. And it kind of did the same.
All lefty, or have you thrown it at all besides the?
Not besides the video, because
yeah,
when we were shooting for the fast pitch, I threw a handful of games with it, and it was the same story as on the right side of the lane. And when you go to throw urethane, I'm just thinking, okay, well the fast pitch is actually really good. That's kind of my default urethane choice now.
Yeah.
But I'm like, if I'm going to use urethane at any point in time, it's going to be number 3 on the list. It's not even going to make the bag, so there's no point in taking it. It's either going to be the fast pitch or the pitch black. So it didn't really have a home for me. And on the flip side, I did drill a new Omega lefty, and that goes to some tougher sport tournaments.
It seemed your lefty Omega, because I remember you had that with you at Swiss, right?
Yeah, I had it with me at Swiss, and if it wouldn't have been the fast pitch that worked out so well, I probably would have thrown the Omega.
I could totally see that. It looks, your lefty Omega, I think, pairs really well off of your lefty phase 2.
Yeah.
So where your lefty phase 2 might just kind of almost get down the lane too much and kind of arc a little too much and get a little too much behind the head pin. The Omega that you've got, especially when you have enough surface on it, just kind of reads that little bit earlier, but just kind of tumbles and doesn't really overreact down lane.
Yeah,
and it's this heavy rolling, keep it in front of you type of shape that still lets you control the pocket, but also get that drive through the pins.
It's kind of a Crux Primey Forge Flare-ish type look. because it just
Yeah.
kind of tumbles and then sits there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Which when you're bowling on tough, especially on the left side, that's what you need sometimes.
yeah, when urethane's either too early or is not quite enough, I guess the Omega is going to get me down the lane a little bit further, but still kind of control things and kind of walk in there. So
Yeah, exactly. So then, after February, in addition to bringing us Plague 2.0, March brought the nuclear cell from Roto Grip, which was their new shiny asymmetric ball. And also on the Storm side, we got a kind of another ball in the Phase 2 idle space. That was the Axiom, which brought the NEX cover and the new orbital core.
yeah.
So what were your thoughts on these, and kind of how did you see them?
Well, first, this was right when I started transitioning over to lefty, and I thought, you know what, I will finish out the league season right-handed. This was in March, I think. I think I got the balls in late February or early March or something, and I'm like, well, at the same time, I don't really need an Axiom right-handed, so I might as well, and especially because I was going to have to drill an idle and some other things, Phase 2, to compare it to, and I thought, well, I'm not going to need this strong of stuff on the right side of the lane, so I'm just going to drill it, and then I'm going to quit bowling right-handed in a couple months, and then that's going to be that. And then it hooked off to Planet, and of course, I probably shouldn't have started, filming video right when I got back to throwing the ball left-handed. That didn't really go so well for a couple months, trying to shoot videos and also trying to practice, or trying to practice while I'm shooting videos. But I mean, very strong, and when I first started throwing it to begin with, it didn't seem as forward off the spot as the idols were, but as I put some use on it, it did start getting a little bit more forward. And so
Your Axiom did? Interesting. I never had that happen with either of mine.
Yeah. And so but I think I started kind of bailing on it too. And the better I throw, if I throw the ball like crap, I've already got a little bit of tilt lefty, and if I kind of get up the back of it, everything's going to stop. And so
garbage in, garbage out to a certain extent.
Yeah. So whatever I throw needs to kind of be naturally continuous on its own. I don't actually throw the Rubicon a whole lot for that same reason. Plus, I don't throw a whole lot of ASIMs anyway. But
yeah, that makes sense.
So what did you... There was definitely a whole bunch of hook, and it was kind of a small delta off of the idle. I think the idle was a little bit smoother. The Axiom punches a little bit more down lane. The Axiom kind of feels like a stronger haywire. There's a lot of people that are a big fan of the Roto Grip haywire, and it kind of shares some of those same tendencies for me anyway.
The Axiom for me felt like an idle that was punchier down lane. Is kind of how I saw it with... the first one I drilled when it came out, I drilled with a 5-inch pin, and I drilled another one in June or July. It was one of the balls. No, it was one of the balls I had with me at Ward Parkway. It was just another one that was at 4.5 instead of 5, just to make it flare a little bit more. Brian Angel had to run out and run a quick errand. She'll be back in probably another 20 minutes.
Yep.
So for me, the Axiom I felt a ton of overlap with the Phase 2, which is Phase 2 is my baby. I've drilled 10 of them now, I think. I feel like every time we have one of these streams, I've drilled another Phase 2 for some reason.
Yeah.
So when in doubt, just drill another Phase 2. That's always a good idea.
Yeah.
The Axiom, I'm going to spoil it a little bit. So one of the categories we've got in the survey is the didn't make the bag. It's the ball that you really liked, but you couldn't really justify kicking something else out for it.
Yeah.
The Axiom is probably my top pick for this year for myself for this reason.
Yeah.
Because literally, if the Phase 2 did not exist, I would take this ball everywhere and I would throw it everywhere.
Yeah.
But the Phase 2 is just that little bit better for me. It's that little bit extra comfort and feel. And as such, the Axiom goes from would throw it everywhere to somewhere in the pile of bowling balls behind me and sitting in a box.
Yeah.
So kind of... It's the unfortunate side of having a bunch of really good bowling balls. The nuclear cell was the other ball that came out in March. For me, I think we're both kind of in the same boat on this one, where we love the astrophysics. Yeah. We just never need the astrophysics turned up to 13. And that's what the nuclear cell is.
Exactly.
If you need a ball that will create a lot of motion off the spot, no matter what, the nuclear cell is amazing.
Yeah.
If you do not need that, save your money and go buy an Axiom Pearl.
Yeah.
So that's that's the take there. June saw a bunch of lower, kind of more entry level type releases. Finally got some really good balls in the Hotline with the Electrify Hybrid and
Yes.
the Electrify Pearl,
Mm-hmm.
as well as the Hustle PBR and the Hustle RAP.
Mm-hmm.
The PBR was a sanded solid, RAP was a shiny pearl. Both had an updated cover formula, and I think all four of these could make a good case for value of the year. Honestly,
Yeah, they're all really solid. I don't use the PBR. I don't use the wrap. I don't actually use the Electrify Pearl, but I don't get down that far very often. I don't get down below. I actually carry my Electrify Hybrid with me whenever I'm going to tournaments. I think it's going to be drier, but I have continued to get better. And if I get down under my IQ Tour Nano Pearl, they're fried. I mean, absolutely obliterated, nutso, completely fried. So I just don't get down that far. Now, the PBR and wrap especially are a whole lot stronger than the price point would indicate. The
yeah,
PBR
I
is
agree
kind of
100% there.
yeah, but and I've toyed with the idea of getting them back out, but at the same time, the wrap and the PBR, the cores are all very similar to the IQ cores, and with as much traction or as much as I use my Tour Nano Pearl, it just kind of feels like a little bit more of the same. I think the hybrid's the only one that has somewhat of a delta off of that from me. The wrap acts quite, actually the wrap and the Electrify Pearl act quite a bit like an emerald. And then the PBR is kind of like a baby phase 2, which is also kind of similar-ish to the Tour Solid. You could definitely make a case for a solid amount of differences there. But it's...
They're close enough that like
Yeah.
that was something I felt when I was testing the PBR, especially was like
Yeah.
I'm looking at the PBR, I'm looking at the IQ Solid, and I'm like, these are close. It was another
Yeah.
Axiom versus Phase 2 for me.
Yeah,
That's kind of how that felt. Whereas like they're close enough that I could carry one or the other.
Yeah.
It's just that extra bit of comfort is what made the distinction for me.
But when it comes to going and purchasing one of these at retail, the Electrifies and Hustles are definitely a lot better budget pick. So if you want something, if you want like higher level performance for a ridiculous price, then those I think are going to be
Agree 100%.
yeah, those are going to be at the very, very top of your list.
Yep. For
So
sure.
I really think all of those are great, and I've complained about the hotline for a while because after the matches, the only match up that I really liked was the Black Pearl. And the matchups just didn't. The matches were pretty good. I liked both of those, and then the matchups I never really. They were okay, but they didn't really seem like performance balls, and they were kind of. They could be strong and they could be weak, and they just.
They couldn't make up their mind. Just
Yeah.
from kind of watching your videos of them, they looked like they were balls without an identity.
Yeah, and so.
And I think they kind of recaptured that with the Electrifies, and
Yeah.
I drilled an Electrify hybrid when it came out, and just tried a weird layout on it. Went really weak on the pin to PAP, and it never did anything, which was my fault. 'Cause weird layout.
Yeah.
And then actually just drilled an Electrify Pearl about a month ago, I think. Just to get as an option
okay.
to have with me when the lanes get really, really crispy.
Yeah.
Like when my high road Pearl is close, but it's just too much boom, and I need something that's a little smoother and more controlled. The Electrified Pearl has actually looked really, really good in that role. And so that's kind of when this. It's not the Electrified Pearl isn't in the like core tournament bag.
Yeah.
But it's definitely that or a pin down Reckham is always in the trunk in my OHEC bag.
Yeah.
Or if they get weird.
Yep. Clint says my pet peeve is having two bags with overlapping balls. Yeah, and that's really the thing is that
Yeah.
I carry an IQ Tour Solid. That's kind of my de facto spare ball now, and my Tour Nano Pearl. And if I already have those in there, there would be so much overlap or so much redundancy adding the rest of those in there that I just can't. I just can't justify adding them. But it has nothing to do with the quality of said balls. I mean, and that's the other thing is that people ask, well, if I say, well, I take these balls to league, or they say, oh, no love for these balls, or what about these balls, or whatever. It's like, well, I can't carry 30 balls to league, so I've got to pick out the kind of the best of the best, and it really just says more about the balls I'm taking and less about the ones that I'm not taking, because there's several more bags that I like. I don't take my Astro to league anymore, and that's ridiculous. I've started.
Dude, what are you doing? Are you just like, are you sandbagging or something? What the heck?
Yeah. Let's see. I don't take my Trend to league anymore. I actually like my Parallax quite a bit. That hasn't seen any league action. But it's like, again, I can't take everything, and so that's the one unfortunate part about having. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Someone was asking about the belt in the chat.
Yep. So. You have the UBA belt. Yep. It's right there.
Still the silver belt, not the gold belt, but gold belt will happen at some point. I'm determined. That's the end goal. So.
Yep. You're coming for him.
Yep.
I better know.
It'll happen. So that was June, the Electrifies and the new hustles. August brought us a bunch of stuff on the Storm side, as well as an awesome new ball on the Roto Grip side. So I guess we'll just kind of punch through these one by one real quick. The first one was the Trend. This ball combined R2S Pearl with the piston core from the ProMotion. I think we kind of knew what we were getting with this one, but it also, I think it was a very needed ball for Storm, because I don't think anybody really understood the piston core after it saw use in the ProMotion.
Yeah, and I was kind of worried about that, because even though the ProMotion is I think it's actually in my top 5 all time now. I would have to say that, since I've used it nonstop I've used it nonstop since it came out, both hands, and it's just great. But I can understand why some people didn't get along with it. I can definitely understand why a lot of people didn't get along with it. But I was afraid that would put people off of the core, which, if you can separate the cover from what the core generates, and I think especially, like you just said, the Trend allows people to see the core for what it is, separate from the,
separate from spec.
Yeah.
Which, spec is a very dominant, the cover creates a very dominant characteristic that kind of almost overwhelms the core to a certain extent in terms of how it reacts on lane. It's kind of similar to NRG Solid in that respect, in my opinion. Because if you look at stuff like the IQ Tour Nano and the High Road Nano, balls like that, they all kind of look pretty similar for most of the lane. I think you see that with spec as well.
Yeah, it's they create very similar shapes on the lane. They might be a little bit earlier, a little bit. It might cover a little bit less ground, more ground, whatever else, but the same general look or shape.
It's going to look and feel really, really similar.
Yeah.
And a lot of overlap there. Ball number 2 in August. I'll go ahead and say it. Heck this ball. This ball can go to heck in a handbasket, and I do not give a heck. It's the Parallax. This is another new cover, new core ball. The cover was Traction X7 Hybrid. Supposedly combined a bunch of stuff from like TX16 on the Phase 2, Spec, R2S, and like a few other covers, kind of all. They took all those traits and blended them into one and combined it with a new asymmetric core called Aeroflow that had a punch out on the bottom of it, was still kind of pretty big and blocky. So, like I said, heck that ball. I did not like it at all. I somehow managed to strike with it occasionally, but it was too much core for how smooth it was, and so it was just angle issues for days on my end. But I know you unfortunately took some of my money with that ball at Lunar during Kansas City Open. Well, crap. Stop it!
What?
So I guess I'm obviously not a huge fan of that ball. You've really enjoyed that ball, so it's kind of, what's your side of it?
My side is I probably wouldn't like it near as much on the right side as I do on the left side, because it is quite smooth, and it does hook a lot. I mean, it's deceptively strong because of how smooth it is, and especially with the factory shine on it too. But that kind of gives me the ability to control my angles, and it's still pretty continuous. But it's with the extra shape that I have on the left side of the lane, it kind of controls and equalizes it out. So for you, it was pretty smooth and almost lazy.
Yeah.
Or not almost lazy. It was lazy.
Oh, it was lazy.
But yeah, but yeah, it gave me the ability to kind of feed it to the spot and give it like the Buttriff purple hammer kind of treatment. Just kind of stay inside of it and spin it at the spot, and it'd kind of hit the spot and walk up to the pins. So
yeah, I think if I had like 100 less rev rate, I think the parallax would have been a lot better for me, honestly, because like you mentioned, with how big that core is, it was enough core that I couldn't really play right and play on top of the track, which is
because
I could see very clearly that was what the shape was asking me to do.
But it's just
play on top of the track, keep it in the oil, just kind of walk it into the pocket. But with my I have enough rev rate that it would force me away from that track very quickly, and then once you get your angles open at all, then you're done.
Slows down.
Yeah, and then it's just I couldn't get it to corner, and just as a result of that, as soon as I had to chase it in at all, then I was flat 10 pins for days, and I'm just like, I could see the value of the ball, and I think I touched on this in my review video. Is I think people who are rev dominant are going to absolutely destroy with that ball.
Yeah,
because like you said, it is slower down lane, but it still hooks a lot. And I know several guys that are two-handers and rev dominant, and they absolutely love it. I'm not that. It's not a ball for me. So.
But I think you would definitely have to have a slower speed or roll the ball a lot more. Because you can see how strong the ball is overall when you try to play straighter with it. It's just going to dig in and start going, but it's also slow enough to where you, like you said, if you open up your angles and have any kind of speed at all, it's one of those get deep and kind of feather it or fade it or roll it or whatever else type balls. So I've
never felt so confident in a ball's ability to get 9 as in the parallax. Like your old IQ Tour solid rants before you figured out how to like that ball.
Yeah,
that was me with the parallax.
Yeah.
So, next ball from August was the IQ Tour Nano Pearl. This brought Nano Pearl Reactive, sanded at 3000 grit from the factory, which is actually NRG Pearl, so it's the same cover.
Yeah.
And the same C3 centripetal core, low RG, low diff, control oriented that you've seen in other IQ Tour series balls. This is one of the ones that I wish I had more of a chance to throw personally. IQ Tour Solid exists, therefore I take that instead of the Nano Pearl. If the Solid didn't exist, then the Nano Pearl probably would get the nod even over a PBR for me, just because it is that fun and that like enjoyable to throw, and it does feel pretty intuitive. I know for you, because you just shot your first lefty 300 with this ball, right?
Yeah, and I shot 290 on titanium today too.
Ooh, very nice.
So yeah, it's definitely one of my favorites. Probably the one getting the most use right now.
Yeah, so I guess this will kind of come up again, but I think it was very interesting. We got a couple of nano balls with not a ton of cover or not a ton of surface in August.
Yeah,
and I think this kind of started a little bit of a trend where we're starting to see more nano stuff that's not designed to hook super early. And I think I know you've talked about this quite a bit in the past, Popper.
Yep.
I know you've talked about this in the past quite a bit, but those nano covers that don't dig super early can be really good on higher friction environments because they won't dig in and they won't dig in and stop in the front part of the lane, but they also won't jump down lane. And so, if you're able to kind of manipulate and work with that and roll the ball properly, then they can bring a ton of usability in a lot of different situations. So,
yeah, mine is. I would probably use the Tour Solid more if I didn't have the Nano Pearl. It's a little bit earlier. It's a little bit stronger. And as it was sharper for me down lane, but as I've gotten some use on it and some games on it, it has tamed down. So the Tour Solid is actually a little bit stronger on the back end for me now than the TNT
Tour Solid feels punchier.
Yeah, the Tour Solid is punchier, but I think it's also the cover's a lot cleaner, so it'll get through the fronts more. It's a little bit more responsive down lane. So once I've gotten some games on the TNP, it's earlier, stronger, and smoother, which checks all the boxes for the lefty necessities. So as good as if you're a lefty, especially that likes the Tour Solid, there's no way that I just can't imagine you not liking the Tour Nano Pearl. And if you're a righty that likes the Tour Solid or the Emerald, it's an IQ that you can actually get further left with, because the Nano cover doesn't burn energy on friction. So it's not, once it starts winding up, it's going to continue to wind up. And so it's something that you can actually play a little bit more angle with and get it to get back up and go through the pocket or go through the pins.
Yeah, exactly. So the Nano Pearl is one I keep looking at in the pile, and I'm like, maybe I should throw this ball more. And then I don't really get around to it. I'm not 100% sure why. But then again, I spend so much time throwing my phase 2 and other stuff that it's like, why bother anyways?
Yeah, I think I was talking, or I've talked to some people about the whole staffer life thing, is that, there's a lot of great balls that, like my first game with my phase 3 was 299, and it hasn't really, it looks good, but it's not quite good enough to nudge some of these other balls out, and that's one of those ones that I keep staring at, like, God, I'd really like to take that, but I can't justify throwing that over some of the other stuff that I've got. And sometimes having so many balls to pick from means that you don't give some legitimately great balls either a chance, or you don't get enough of a chance to throw them because you just match up with something else a little bit better.
Yeah, exactly. And that's getting back to the start of the conversation. Axiom versus phase 2 is the Axiom is an amazing ball. I've really loved throwing it. I've shot 830 with it out of the box basically.
Yeah.
But I don't carry it at all because there's just that little bit extra with phase 2 that brings to the table. So,
and
last ball for August is one you got a lot more lane time with than I did. It was the MVP Attitude.
Oh yeah.
It was an updated version of the MVP's hybrid cover stock. This one came sanded from the factory though at 3000 grit, I believe.
Yeah.
And same Neutron NXT core as the other MVPs, which has a 2.55 RG, 0.040 differential. It was a higher RG core, yes, but it felt very much kind of like what you saw out of the Wrecker series, where it's kind of this almost a baby ASIM type of shape, where it's kind of like chuggy and a little more heavy rolling. And I think it was very interesting to see that in a sanded package that kind of blended things out a little bit more. So,
yeah, and especially
what did you think of the Attitude?
Yeah, especially when comparing the Attitude to the original MVP, the first honorary HP5 into the stream, the same one.
Sweet.
That was unexpected.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, it still says low bandwidth, but it actually is not frozen right now. Oh,
we're
back up. What the holy heckers? Yeah, it says low bandwidth. Yeah, I think it'll get back into things. So maybe I don't know why it says low bandwidth. That's pissing me off. So anyway, we're back. Kind of. It keeps being stupid, but we've got like 7,000 Ethernet. Yeah, it's probably going to stutter a little bit for a few minutes, but yeah, it should pick up here in about 30 seconds, I'd imagine. So
the heckin' interwebs.
Yeah, well, we've only got about 3,000 Ethernet cables plugged in. So we've got the modem, and then we've got a router hooked into the modem, and then we have a Ethernet hub plugged into that. And I've got the streaming laptop on there. I've got the laptop that I'm Zooming with you on. Then we've got the computer upstairs, and then we've got the PlayStations, and we've got the TVs and whatever else. So it's all... Yeah, well, and yeah, I can't have, I was just telling you about this, that I can't have a stream actually go correctly anymore. So yes, thank you, Brian. Make sure you refresh your browsers, everyone. If you're still froze, it is actually back on. But if it froze, you can't hear me, so... Read the chat, please. Anyhow, so we were talking about how awesome the MVP Attitude is. Your webcam's getting fuzzy. What's the problem there? Yeah, I know. The webcam.
Really, I can't. It's too small.
I'm gonna say I've got some pretty good vision. I can definitely see some fuzz there, and it's not just the fuzz on your face.
Blah blah blah. Whatever.
Anyway, we're talking about how great the MVP Attitude is, and it's one of those that does not act. It acts like an MVP because the original MVP was still pretty chuggy and rolly, but it also turns sideways too. The MVP Attitude has the same type of roll to it, but it's very Wreck-It esque in that it's pretty continuous, but it rolls a lot heavier and it hooks a lot more than, once again, the price point would suggest.
Oh, bark, 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 bark.
Yep.
Yeah, so my attitude, and I think I touched on this a little bit in my video. I drilled it after I had seen yours already, which yours was righty, correct?
Yeah, my first one was righty.
Yep. So I kind of knew what I was getting into, and so I actually drilled it pinned down to kind of make it this cat ball is in the same strength region as an IQ Tour Solid, but is a little more forward and tumbly off the spot without a big change of direction. So I went pin down, no hole, no deep thumb, no nothing. It was a ball that I really liked throwing, but when it came down to it, I was never going to pack it to a tournament over an IQ Tour Solid unless I'm taking 10 bowling balls with me.
Yeah.
And so that was another one that was kind of a victim of, yes, it works well when it works, but I have other stuff that does similar things just in a little bit different ways that I'm a little more comfortable with.
Yeah.
How would you compare the attitude to the PBR? Luke, I'm going to kick this one over to you.
That's really interesting because the PBR is actually is also fairly rolly and early and smooth. I think the attitude handles angle better because the PBR does kind of fall into that IQ kind of thing with the lower differential, so it doesn't quite handle angle very well. From straighter angles, it's a lot harder to tell, but as you get deeper on the lane, the separation, I think, is a lot easier to see. Plus, the PBR actually starts up earlier, even though the attitude looks like it's chuggier and rollier and whatever else. It pushes a little bit further down the lane than the PBR does. And I think the attitude would have been one of those ones that I would have thrown a whole lot more had I stayed righty. And I put a short pin on it lefty, and it's kind of a baby Omega is what it ended up being. And again, it's nothing that I'm going to throw on a house shot a whole lot, but when I get on tougher stuff, then low diff. The original HP5 ball was the show off. Yeah, the show off is still the strongest ball that's ever been offered for that price ever, period. I mean, you can't put NRG solid on an HP2 ball and sell it for $100. I mean, it's just,
and yet they did.
Yeah. So yeah, the MVP attitude is high on the list for like sleeper pick of the year. It's I think it's even better because I really like the Wild Streak too, and that one people were still kind of mixed on that. And again, I could see why they were mixed, but the attitude.
May it rest in peace.
Yeah. Yep. They pulled another Thanos with the product line. But I think the attitude is another one that people are going to miss because it's not, like Phase 3 pretty, and it doesn't do anything special out on the lanes. It's just one of those super blue collar balls that gets the job done for a pretty good price.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that and when I started pushing it and telling people about it, a lot of people got back to me and said that they were shocked. And I said, yeah, I mean, that's why I was pushing. I'm not doing the staffer guy thing. I'm pushing it because, especially if you're a regular league bowler and you're just once a week and you buy one ball a year or whatever, the attitude would be
that type of reaction that's really good for that.
Yeah, it'd be top of my list for that.
Yeah, agreed. So moving right along, September brought us one ball, and it was a kind of a new one. It was the first ASIM HP3 ball we've had in a long time. It was the Rubicon.
Mm-hmm.
This was an updated, E-Trax Solid. So it was an updated version of the Idle Pro cover, combined with this new Rondura core, which is Idle core numbers, but with a little bit of asymmetry as well.
Oh, yes. Okay. So, the Rubicon was E-Trax S20. Now they've kind of, with some of the newer stuff, they've gone back to just Microtrax, just E-Trax.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was the stronger version of basically the Idle Pro cover plus that little bit of asymmetry that gave it a little bit of pop. I'm going to check this. How continuous is the Omega? I'm starting to like ASIMs on Fresh lately. The Omega is definitely a pretty good lefty pick. I drilled mine stronger because I knew what it did on the right side, and so I drilled it with a specific purpose in mind. Because I knew it wasn't probably going to see a whole lot of action for me on a house shot, but it's kind of a stronger Nano Pearl basically stronger attitude, very chuggy, round, smooth. But yeah, it's definitely a pretty good lefty ball, and it is that catalyst core is really continuous. So I would have a hard time not recommending that to a lefty, especially one of my fellow lefties in Curtis there.
I could totally see that. Yeah, so the Rubicon was I wasn't really sure what to do with it initially. And so I put my standard at the time, pin above the bridge, kick the mats a little bit, pretty standard kind of mid-strength asymmetrical type layout. And yeah, I haven't had a ball hook that much out of the box since the original MVP. That thing went to about 40 feet. It turned left. It did not use a blinker, no turn signals, no hand signals. Yeah. This sucker went to the B&W School of Driving and said, I go that way, deal with it.
Yeah.
And so that was like the pin-up one has even still is just like, it's odd because on paper it shouldn't do this, but it's like, the ball reminded me a lot of the Codex from a cover stock strength and responsiveness perspective.
Yeah, just way more boom.
It was, it was just the pin-up ball was just so much boom that I'm like, I could barely keep it on the lane. And even with my speed, I was like, that's not something that happens very often for me. So I ended up drilling another Rubicon, actually, pinned down, just 4.5 by 4.5 by 4. And then immediately took that one down to Georgia for a big tournament called Turtles.
Yeah.
And shot a million with it that weekend.
Yeah.
I used it. That was honestly a bit of an eye-opening ball for me because with my rev rate and the layouts I had been using, it was pretty rare that I'd be able to use a ball for like 5, 6, 7 games in a row and not have to like make either crazy physical changes or I'm somehow bowling on an island all by myself.
Yeah.
And my first 6 games with the Rubicon were 256, 256, 256, 289, 257, 225 or something like that.
Yeah.
This was a 6-game block with 6 bowlers on a pair, all righties. And I was just sitting there and just kind of inching left and just kind of getting around a little more and slowing it down a little bit. And the ball just kept splitting the 8-9. And I was like, I don't know what this witchcraft is, but I need more of this.
Yeah.
And so that was that ball was honestly kind of the start of kind of me stepping back and reevaluating my layouts a little bit because I'm like, I need to figure out how to get more balls with that type of skill in my hand.
Yeah.
So that I don't get forced into a ball change every other game. Because when you can do that, that gives you a lot more control and knowledge of what the lanes are giving you, and you don't get trapped by getting fooled on a couple of weird shots.
Yeah. And so I think that Roto and Schlim and Boomershine and the team definitely nailed exactly what they were trying to get with this ball. But what makes it kind of interesting and do that is E-Trax is a very similar cover to R2S formula-wise, as far as I know. But with it being such a strong version plus mild asymmetry, so you've got something that is pretty responsive to begin with, and then you amp it up and make it hook more, and then you put it on a mild, asym, and it just hook on top of boom, on top of reaction, on top of everything else here. And so yeah, I think it's as it settles down, it some of the boom wears off, but I think that's actually kind of a good thing to make it more controllable.
Yeah, this the Rubicon is another of the picks for me at the end of the day. It's another pick that's love the ball, but I can't put it in the core travel bag.
Yeah,
just because it is close enough to the phase 2 that it's like I'd rather just carry a phase 2.
Yeah, so. We got some relevant questions here, so I'm going to start with Joe asking, I may have asked this before, but how would you guys compare the Rubicon to something like an Axiom or a Phase 2? It's not quite Axiom or Phase... Well, it's not quite Axiom overall strength.
It's a weaker cover and more core than both of those.
Yeah.
It's kind of how I see it. So it won't read the fronts quite as much, and I actually compared... In my review video for the Rubicons, I compared them to my pinup Phase 2.
Yeah.
And you can see pretty clearly that overall they're extremely similar, but the Phase 2 just kind of reads a little earlier and blends a little more down lane because of that, a little more cover, a little less core versus the Rubicon.
And on a video on a house shot, you're not going to see the difference so much is when you start bowling with them, especially in longer format tournaments, and when you have to start moving around. That's when it's like, okay, well, they look fairly similar on a house shot, but once you start getting into transition and different zones and whatever else, they start to separate themselves quite a bit. Let's see. Let's see.
I got
like
a question
turtles.
from Brian about the SERP over-under in Nano Pearl.
That one, I think you just have to give some games to it, because when I threw it, I was super excited for it when it got announced, and I'm like, well, it comes at 3,000. I don't understand that. And then I threw it, and I'm like, okay, I totally understand this now. This ball's awesome. And then it lane shined a little bit, and then it did start giving me that super over-under issues where I would leave just taps for days. It just 6 pins, saying it the righty direction, wrap 10s and 4 pins and 9 pins and 8 pins, and just any way that you can think of for that ball to look good rolling down the lane and look good on the back end, and then just not knock the pins down. So I actually, I think I got in our Discord chat server and said, I hate this ball. I'm never throwing it again. It's like I'm done.
You say that about most balls, Luke.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That's kind of
like I'm done with the Tornado Pearl or whatever else, and then it's
once a week in the Discord. Luke says, "I am done with X."
yeah.
And then 2 weeks later, he shoots 300 with it. So thanks for playing. Have a nice day.
It kept sitting there, and I'm like, gosh, it rolls so good. How can I just? It's like, well, maybe it'll work better at this other house, or maybe it'll work good in this situation. But it just rolled so good that I couldn't bring myself to be done with it. And so after I got some, and I brought it back out, and I'm like, yeah, it's still kind of more of the same, but I put some more use on it, and as I continued to use it, it mellowed just even that little bit more. And so instead of shining up and still being strong and pretty poppy, or pretty sharp down lane actually for an IQ, it has started to blend a lot more. So the only thing that I really did with it is give it like 20 more games, and it settled the cover in just enough to where now I don't have to get so deep with it. I don't have to open up my angles so much to get the ball down the lane. I have gotten quite a bit better throwing the ball too, so I'm not so slow and so I don't roll it so heavy anymore. And so all I really did with it was give it some more games. And now it's amazing. Like I said, yeah, I shot my first lefty 300 with it. I think 765 is my second high lefty set all time, and I shot 290 with it today. Had 13 in a row at one point on the on Kegel Titanium, which is kind of a challenge-ish pattern, but it's 44 feet, 26 mils. So I think box with maybe 30 games on it. Just give it some more games, and it will get you to the point where you don't have to get as deep with it. It'll start smoothing, or it'll start slowing down off the friction. So keep bowling with it. Maybe hit it with a pad every once in a while, because I did hit it with the 3000. I just kind of lightly, it was getting a little too shiny, and so I hit it with a 3000 pad. And so I think if you just use it for a league set, hit it with 3000, use it for a league set, hit it with just a light 3000, and keep kind of working the surface in, and it's the best ball in my bag right now. So
there you go. Let's see, what else do we have? Blah 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 blah. This is actually a pretty good interlude question. From Shred the Rack Bowling. Now that we have a few new cores in the line, what is the cover core combo you would like to see? Also, is spec dead? As far as spec, I'm not sure. We might see that cover again. It seemed to kind of fizzle in my eye in the public perception.
Yeah, so. It's especially with the Gravity Evolve, because the Gravity Evolve was another one that didn't really seem, it was like a strong asymmetric pitch purple. It just didn't, it had the most shape of any spec ball, but seeing as how spec is great in my eyes, specifically because of the lack of shape, trying to get more shape out of something that doesn't want to shape, it didn't really have an identity or know what it wanted to do. And so again, I'm a huge fan of the Crux. I'm actually sitting at 2 Crux Primes that I have stashed, and I'm gonna have 5 blank ProMotion stashed, in addition to having a couple drilled. So I really, really love the cover, but it didn't work for me on the Gravity Evolve. I don't think it worked for a lot of people on the Gravity Evolve. Yeah. But
That
yeah,
cover didn't work for me, period, but that's another story.
I think it would be a really tough sell. Now, I think, again, it kind of divided people. Like Matt O'Grady is a big fan of the promotion.
Really?
So anytime anybody talks
Okay.
about, you know, anytime people talk about the promotion, yeah, he just won a tournament with it a couple weeks ago, and he's like, yeah, it's just one of the best balls in my bag. It's super controllable and whatever else. And if you use it in a format where you're only throwing it once every 4 or 5 minutes because the absorption rate's so slow, give it time to soak in a little bit. And if you have a little bit slower ball speed or higher rev rate, want to feather a little bit, it's a great cover to have on the left side of the lane. But the next ball that they put out, it can't be a Belmo ball because those are already divisive enough. But the next ball that they put out with spec on it, there's instantly going to be a lot of people that say, "Oh no, it's got spec on it." Nope, not happening. So it would have to be more of a niche type ball. But there's a lot of people that have said, "Yeah, I'd like a spec IQ, or I'd like which I can't imagine a smoother promotion." So that's probably not the greatest idea. A spec high road may not be such a bad idea with the extra shape that core creates. But again, we've already kind of talked about that. The smoother high roads haven't really been the popular ones have been the High Road Pearl and the High Road. The X is somehow still around, but the All Road just got axed. People were the High Road Nano was good, but it was kind of mediocre still at the same time for a lot of people. And then the High Road Solid, which had the High Road Solid, R2S Solid, and it was not great. So smoother high roads just in general don't seem to work out too well.
Yeah, which might be why the X is still around, is because it's punchy enough.
Yeah, because it's kind of flippier.
Yeah. I was actually so I guess what was the other half of the question?
Core
cover combo you would like to see.
Yep. I think,
I'm sure you've got some ideas.
I've got some ideas. This is something that I've been talking about a lot. I've been wanting Nano Pearl here forever. We got one in the IQ Tour Nano Pearl. Then we got NEX, which is an evolution of NRG, which is it's on the Axiom Pearl, and then we got the Parallax, which I've said is kind of Nano Pearlish.
That cover, it feels like a slightly slower version of NEX Pearl.
Yeah.
Is what the Parallax cover feels like.
It's very,
just with a lot more core inside of it.
Yeah, it's very NRG Pearlish. It reminds me a lot of my Halo Burn, and now that I have my Halo Burn re-drilled, I can see a lot of similarities to that. So they've actually given me a lot of the stuff kind of on my wish list. I think the one last thing is the IQ Tour Fury that I keep talking about that I've already conceptualized a long time ago. R3S Hybrid, so the Phase 3 cover on the IQ core. I think that the Phase 3 can kind of be too boomy and kind of it again, it's one of those that looks really good on a video, but you don't find yourself using that much. And I think a lot of the hype died down after people got it because it looks so pretty and it turns sideways on the back end. Again, I really like mine. I just can't find an excuse to get it in the bag right now. But I think that making that cover into an IQ type thing would tame it down just, make it just right and kind of give
just
you
blend that friction response just a little bit, just that little bit enough. Yeah, no, I can see that.
A little bit stronger and flip, so something like a Tour Nano Pearl, just sharper.
Yeah.
So
that sounds pretty awesome.
That would kind of be my core cover combo, and of course it'd be crimson and kind of like a two-tone crimson and cherry cinnamon scented and whatever else. I've already got that all figured out.
Oh, that's actually a really good one. Shred the Rack just said UFO core with a weaker cover.
Yeah,
like an actual like an Etrex Pearl UFO. I think would be really, really good.
Yeah.
I think. Let's see, 'cause we were just talking about this in Discord a couple days ago. I'm trying to remember what my ideas were. Oh yeah, I remember. It's an idea we've kind of been bouncing around as a joke in the server for a while. It's called the Shim Road.
Yeah, the Shim Road.
So because Shimwrecker Enterprise is basically my own special high road ball. So that would be the cover would be R2X Pearl. So it's the marble pearl cover stock.
Yeah.
The colors would be the green from the IQ Emerald combined with that kind of like charcoal and black swirl of the Code Black. And then obviously the High Road core.
Yeah.
So I think that would probably be mine.
Yeah. Yeah. Another good one that they put on here, a Microtrax Rubicon. So like the idle cover
Yeah.
or UFO cover on the Rubicon core, which that's probably going to happen at some point. And then
I'm guessing it will. But speaking of Rubicons, I'm heckin' excited for that UC2, the Pearl
yeah,
Rubicon.
yeah,
I'm so looking forward to that ball.
yeah,
I think I said this as soon as I started using that pin down Rubicon. It was like, I need this ball with a Pearl cover, please and
yeah,
thank you.
yeah,
Have a nice day.
yeah. If we get a Pearl version of that, which you knew it was going to happen. I mean, as good as it was, and then all the pros instantly adopted it, and you're seeing it thrown
100%.
all over the league and the everything else. But yeah, Joe Brennan said here, yeah, he likes the idea of the next gen version or kind of a stronger version of the IQ Tour Fusion, which my IQ Tour Fury.
That's what the Fury would be. Yeah.
Yeah. And then whatever else. Yeah, Cherry Cinnamon, you're a monster. I think it'd be great. I think it'd be great.
Yeah.
I had another.
I'd buy one.
Yeah, I had another thought there, and I forgot about it. But
we probably need to get back on to talking about balls again.
yeah, probably, because then we're gonna have, as soon as we go through the balls, then we're gonna talk about the discontinued list, because there's a lot of no. The other idea that I had for a color combo. So take like the pink from the IQ Tour Pink, kind of that very silvery bright pink.
Okay.
And then the bright blue from the Astro, so kind of that silvery metallic lighter blue.
Yeah.
And then the green,
like electric blue almost.
Yeah, and then the green from the Emerald. And put those all together in a ball, and that'd swirl around a whole lot. But just the pink and the blue, I think, would be great to begin with. But
take the green out, man.
Yeah.
The green doesn't work there. I'm sorry, Angel. Please don't hurt me.
Yeah.
The green doesn't work on that one.
Yeah, the bright silvery pink and the metallic blue or whatever would be pretty nice. Anyway, yeah, let's get back to the ball talk, because then we've got like 7 or 8 discontinued balls to have a eulogy for.
October was a tale of 2 balls for me. Well, because there were 2 balls released. One of them I have used a ton, and I've actually drilled multiples of them. The other one, I have one, sitting in a box right there below the UBA belt. The first one is the Axiom Pearl.
Yep.
It's literally exactly what you think it is.
Yeah.
NEX Pearl, shiny, same core as the Axiom.
Yeah, exactly. There's no kind of...
Yeah, this what look, Luke's referenced it before. The whole like staffer bias and talking up new stuff.
Yeah, but it happens every once in a while.
It happens. Like there are some times where I've kind of caught myself being like, okay, I might be talking this ball up a little bit too much.
Yeah.
I am not allowed to order another Axiom Pearl until next month because I have maxed out how many Axiom Pearls I can order.
Yeah, you've already bought too many.
That is how good that ball is. Good Lord. And this was the Axiom Pearl for me is the one where I actually figured out what you have been talking about for so long, Luke, with how awesome Nano Pearl is.
The Nano Pearl covers, yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh, they killed it with this ball. And again, I'm sorry to be speaking in like overblown rose-colored glasses terms.
Yeah.
I bought 4 of them. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
No, the way I end up using this ball is kind of interesting, though. Mine is very, very heavy rolling. Kind of feels different from my Axiom Solid in that respect. So I end up using it kind of like in astrophysics with more cover. Is actually what the usage window ends up being for me in a lot of situations.
Yeah.
So it's this really nice shape complement. It's got a little more, not quite as early, but definitely more heavy rolling than a phase 2.
Yeah.
And so if I need a big ball, I'm probably going to be throwing one of those too, and I'm probably going to be striking a lot. And it's so trusted, no matter what layout I have on it. Even it just gets the job done, and it's one of those balls where I find myself pulling it out, and I'm like, oh, I'm throwing this ball again. Oh, it's striking again. Look at that. Brr.
Yeah.
So that's the story of the Axiom Pearl for me. So I know yours.
Mine's
in the case of a tale of 2 users.
Yeah, which is really weird because I think I got the only one. Aaron Ramsden from Kansas City actually kind of had the same experience, but that's like 2 out of 1,000 that for some reason just didn't work for people, and I'm probably going to get another one. Number one, it's way too pretty to not throw it anymore. It smells great, and as soon as I can, because I've got all kinds, I bought more overseas balls, and I got an Outcry from Kennen, which is kind of like an all-road weaker Nano Pearl type idea, but then I got the IQ Tour Pink, which is a pink IQ Fusion that smells like cherries. And then I got the Phase 3 SE that's NRG, that's polished NRG solid, and my pink phase. And so I've already got way too many things to drill to think about another Axiom Pearl. But it's going to happen again, and it's going to get a different layout. Because everybody else is shooting $8.99 with it. So,
I haven't shot $8.99 with mine yet, but I have made quite a bit of money with it.
Man.
Are you going to... I was going to say that might be a good candidate for that pin and ring layout, like what you have on your Synergy and your Phase 2.
That's exactly the layout that it's going to get when I drill another one. It's not going to be an if I drill another one, because it needs to happen.
Yeah, I agree there.
But it just rolls so good. Like the Nano Pearl, shiny Nano Pearl stuff kind of acts like stronger polished solids. Yeah, because it gets more traction through the oil than something like an IQ Tour Solid's going to get. It blends the friction, but it also gives you a good amount of shape off the friction. It doesn't tear the pattern up too fast. It's not too early like some solids can be, and it doesn't burn energy on friction, so it's continuous. So it's like the ultra uber staffer hype ball, that every buzzword that you can kind of fit, or a typical description that you can that a staffer would fit into an extremely obnoxious review. This ball actually is.
This is why I'm apologizing.
Yeah,
for this.
I know.
Like, I keep saying this, but I believe it.
It's just.
Does your mom bowl? No. Okay, she needs an Axiom Pearl anyway. That's how good it is.
Yep.
So the other ball in October is one you have a lot more experience using than I do, and this is because of you seeing patterns more than I do, and you throw the ball with your left hand. It's the fast pitch.
Yeah.
This
we used it quite a bit.
This was another updated urethane cover. It's more actual urethane, like pitch black type cover, than it was a pitch purple cover.
Yeah.
But they took the tour block from the fever pitch and put that inside this ball, so it flares a little bit more.
Yes, it does have.
If I remember correctly, this was the ball you used for most of Swiss trios, right?
Yeah, I actually used it for the entire thing, and what was kind of funny about that was that I couldn't quite get my angles right for the first few games. I went like 160, 160, 160 or something, and my teammate started talking, and I'm sitting there being frustrated with it on the shots. I'm like, I know this is the ball, but I can't get the angles right with it. And my teammate started talking to me at that point. It's kind of like, well, it's just not working out. Maybe you should just get into something else and just kind of reset and whatever else. I'm like, no, I know this is the ball. And then eventually I got to the point where I just kind of gave up and straightened out, just squared up even just a little bit more, and then I averaged 220, almost 230 with, I think it was 227 or 228 the remaining 9 games of the tournament.
Yeah, you struck a lot.
Yeah, on a 4-to-1 shot.
Middle road, right?
Yeah, middle road. So I think it was 3.9 to 1 or 4.1 to 1 or something. So bordering on sport-ish pattern. And again, this was in September.
3.96.
Yeah, so I'm
39 feet, 3.96 to 1, 22.85 mils.
Yeah, it
is a sport pattern.
Yeah, so once I got the angles right, which a lot of the time that's what it takes on the left side. Again, today was kind of the same thing, as that I was bowling next to Trevor Baumgartner and Packy Hanrahan all day, and they made it out better. They held up better than I did for the first few games. They were still shooting 220s and 230s, but they didn't have like the nuts type of look until we all kind of ended up in the same spot. It's just I went 230, 190, 150 my first 3 games. So I got myself in a little bit too much of a hole, but then the last 3 games were pretty okay. But yeah, so I've thrown the fast pitch a lot. It clears the fronts easier than the pitch black and adds a little bit more shape, or it puts the shape into a zone that your eyes are going to be able to read it in better, because most of the time people don't target early, most of the time, whatever a ball does in the first 15 feet especially is very hard for you to see. It'd be something your teammates could pick up on, or if you're very comfortable with your feel versus read on the lanes, like if you know that you didn't tug the ball, but it's like 2 boards inside a target, when you kind of finally pick it up across the arrows and it's like, it didn't feel like I tugged that ball, but it's still 2 boards left. Sometimes the pitch black can do that. It can start up too early for you to even really see it. It's more of a something you have to feel. The feet or the fast pitch does what it does right as your eyes begin to really pick it up and track it, kind of right at the dots and the arrows.
But it's still urethane.
Yeah, it's still very
urethane control.
Still very urethane-y. It's just a little bit longer and a little bit more shape than the pitch black.
Yeah, the fast pitch is one where I kind of like what you were saying of like, I know this is the ball to be using. I just have to figure out how to use it.
Yeah.
It's once I have a chance to get back on the lanes and practice on some patterns, the fast pitch is on that pile for me without a shadow of a doubt. Because I've seen what it's capable of.
Yeah.
And I know that it's something that I need to have in my bag for some of these pattern-based tournaments.
Yeah, I think PJ...
So I got to kind of just make sure I need to put a turbo sleeve in it because I switched to interchangeables and make sure we're good on that front. But it's a ball that I need to throw more, straight up.
Yeah, PJ Haggerty threw it pretty well the entire tournament at Swiss, too.
Yeah.
So... All right, so what do we got next?
Next up is we're getting close to the end of the list. We got 3 balls left. November was 2 more Roto grip balls, and I will throw both of these out and we can just talk about them together. The RST X1 brought Microtrax Hybrid at 3000 sanded with the new Roto Star Tour core, which looks kind of like a sideways dumbbell, but one side is a lot fatter than the other side. It's kind of odd.
Yeah.
But so it was this new kind of interesting core design. It is asymmetric, so it's got a pretty high intermediate differential. The other ball is the shiny hybrid idol that we all have kind of figured was coming for, 3 years now?
Yeah.
The idol synergy showed up with E-Trax hybrid, shiny. And the colors kind of look like that magenta purple color of the idol solid blended with the blue from the idol pearl, and then literally just blend those together in hybrid form.
Yeah, and then mirror shined.
Yeah. So the synergy, I'll start with the synergy first, and then I'll kind of kick over to your side because I know you have a better feel of this ball. So I thought when I was drilling the synergy that I was going to be drilling a slightly more punchy trend. And so I was like, okay, this will be fun. I've got a pinned down trend sitting in y'all's basement right now.
Yeah.
Really like that ball, and let's just copy paste that, throw it on this ball, and it'll be great. It was still in the skid phase when it hit the backstop.
Yeah.
So I don't, and this was after I reset the surface before I threw a shot with it. Like I went 1000 grit and then a quick hit of Powerhouse factory finish polish, which is the polish my pro shop uses.
Yeah.
Just to kind of reset the surface is something I'm a little more familiar with, because I could see visually if I had tried to throw it with the true factory surface on it, there's no chance it was going to work.
Yeah.
And even after taking it all the way down to 500, 3000 no polish, I really struggled to get it to hook up to the lane. And so this is one where, on the one hand, maybe I just got one with a bad cover, kind of like what happened with your Axiom Pearl.
It might.
On the other hand, like even seeing what other people's do is kind of, I can see some resemblance in mine, and it's kind of like, I don't know, maybe I just need to spend more time with it and get to know it, and without having preconceived notions in my head.
Yeah.
So that's and this is kind of an explanation of why I haven't released a video for the synergy yet, is I feel like I can't do the ball justice because I don't understand it enough personally.
Yeah.
So I guess what's your take on it? What is your experience with it so far? And I guess if you have any thoughts or ideas on how to fix mine, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Straight out the gate, to begin with, they kind of reset on their covers because as you get into 18, 19, 20, all their cover formulas kept getting a lot stronger every year. Like if you think about VTC 18 on one of the earlier hustles compared to like VTC S20 that's on the PBR, just monster strength.
Yeah.
Or then you go from let's see, Etrax 18 that was on the P18, the Pearl that was on the Halo Pearl, and then the
Idle Pearl.
The Idle Pearl. Didn't we have a, what do we have?
Etrax P20 was the nuke, I think.
The nuke, yeah. And so how much stronger was the nuke than the Halo Pearl? Like, just...
Good grief.
Their cover strengths just went absolutely berserk. Yeah. So I think that they hit the reset button on that because they were trying for something a little bit more specific. So, and it'll be interesting to see once we get the Rubicon that's just Etrax Pearl, because it's just Etrax solid, or Etrax hybrid on the Synergy, and then the crap. What am I thinking of here? That the RST is just Microtrax, and so it's not
RST
quite...
is just Microtrax hybrid.
Yeah, so it's not as... It doesn't feel as strong. It doesn't necessarily feel like a hybrid version of a UFO, so to speak. It feels even a little bit weaker than that. So I think instead of going for, like, big, bold stuff, they went for very specific things with these balls. Well, the Synergy ends up being even cleaner and sharper for me than the Idle Pearl, which, given the same core... doesn't make a ton of sense, or it is something that's kind of interesting, seeing as how Etrax P18 was on the Idle Pearl and was kind of the weakest version of the last several years. Well, yeah. the Synergy feels even cleaner and flippier than the Idle Pearl does. And
well, it's almost a Daredevil versus Daredevil Danger type of thing. Where the Danger kicked more than the original.
Yeah, it was longer and sharper than the Pearl. Of course, Storm Balls kind of do that. The Pearls can be a little bit stronger and chuggier than the hybrid versions. Yeah. But for the Synergy for me, and it was even kind of funny that somebody complained, it's like, oh my god, another Staffer Ball video with nothing but strikes. During filming, I missed 4 times and did not leave a single 7-pin, so I just didn't have the stuff to put on camera. I got done with my however many games, and I'm like, okay, well, I just have nothing. But even most of the strikes were kind of sloppy, or I'd dump out of it, but it was literally just carrying everything and finding a way to the pocket. But gauge on the house shot, when I have something that's that flippy and I can just kind of dead hand right down the side, it was just fish in a barrel for 20 solid minutes. But having taken it out after that, especially to somewhere like Westridge that's normally a little bit wetter, a little bit softer to begin with, it didn't quite pick up soon enough, and then taking it to Royal Crest, that's kind of in between Westridge, and it's not quite as boomy and crazy and frictiony as Gauge, but it's not quite as wet and slow as Westridge, kind of in the middle. It didn't really have a home because it wanted to go a little bit too long, and then I'd straighten up, and the friction response would just make it take off instantly, and so
So here's a question for you. This is kind of a thought I just had, actually. Is I've only bowled at Royal Crest twice, and one of those was I shot 790 with my Astro as an illegal sub in league. Royal Crest strikes me as one of those places where if you can't strike with a ball there, it's probably not a ball that's going to work many places for you.
And I think that's where we were talking about in the Discord. We had the legendary discussion on Discord about Angel not really matching up with the Synergy at Royal Crest. And it's like, if it doesn't strike here...
It seems like a litmus test house. Where
instantly.
If you can't find a way to strike with it there, you might as well put it away.
And it doesn't even matter how long you put on the ball. If you throw 5 shots and none of them look great, you need to change something. So it's one of those that's very, very obvious right away whether the ball is going to look good or whether you need to give it some time. And sometimes you need to let a ball break in. But that's what we said to begin with. It's like, look, we either need to take the shine off of this or just put 20 games on it before we do anything else with it, because it looks bad right now at a house that literally nothing looks bad at. Yeah. I mean, So I think that the thing for that is you probably need to, if you're going to leave it shiny, you need to go with a crazy undergrit, like go 500, 1,000 shine. Or you need to take it to like 3,000 and just throw it a lot so that you get
just
the friction.
Build some lane shine on top of the
Build some lane shine, get the cover tamed down so that you can get into a zone where you don't have to bend it so much. And so it's another one of those that I kind of put away, but I'm probably going to get back out, like my Nano Pearl. It looked great filming for it, and then I take it out and it kind of looks mediocre, but it rolls so good. If you just go back and watch that video, like, it's just so ridiculous what it looks like that I'm going to have to get it back out, but the shine definitely has to come off of it. And I think what it's going to do is it's going to phase 3 some people. It looks great sitting on the shelf. It looks amazing on videos. But depending on the situation, the phase 3 could be kind of touchy, and I think the Synergy is the same way. It's going to look amazing and ridiculous in some people's hands on most conditions, but you're going to find yourself in certain situations where it's going to go 60 feet, or it's going to kind of get jerky on friction, especially for those people that just put holes in a ball and never change anything about it and just decide whether or not they like the ball without, layering surfaces or getting some time on it or getting some lane shine back on it or whatever. I think it's going to be a very kind of a divisive ball. Some people are going to absolutely love it the majority of the time, and some people are going to go, just another ball that looks good on video. It just reacts good, but just doesn't get the job done.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, it's one where I know I need to spend more time with it to learn the ball, and I just haven't really had the time to. Other ball in November, and I'm going to spoil it right here. This is my pick for surprise of the year. Is the RST X1.
Yep.
I had no idea what to expect of this. When I first saw the spec sheet, I was like, weird core, big ASIM, sanded nano hybrid cover. I'm not even going to bother ordering this.
Yeah.
And then I saw, a video of it going down the lane, and I was like, wait, that actually looks pretty good.
Yeah.
And then I was like, heck it, I'll order one, see what happens.
Yeah.
I drill it up and I start throwing it, and it was very strong out of the box. But even fresh out of the box, it still was continuing more down lane than what I would normally see from sanded ASIMs like that.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, this ball might be really good. And then I shot 847 with it pre-bowling a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this ball's really good.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of kind of some of what I had said and what I felt when I started throwing the OG physics for the first time, where it's just enough of a step up from something like a phase 2 when you just need that little bit of extra motor to be able to punch down lane when your phase 2 or your idle isn't quite cornering. So it's that little bit extra to kind of get through the pins in those situations, but not so much that it narrows the range of use too much. And so for me, it was one that, like, I wasn't sure about it at first, and then once I figured it out, it's pretty much instantly gone into the oh heck bag.
Yeah.
If I don't need it very often, but in those situations where I do need that just extra gear up from the phase 2, that's when the RST comes out to play, and it's served its role admirably well, more than admirably well so far when I've had a chance to use it. So.
Yeah, when I saw it on paper to begin with, I was thinking, okay, so the RG is higher than the physics, but everything else read physics. The differential's really close to intermediate. The split's really close.
We're up to 1770, by the way, for the fundraising.
Yep,
that's awesome.
But the RS, awesome. Yeah, that's ridiculous. So, yep, all for the puppers. There's some puppers laying down over there. But it read like a higher RG physics to me, because Microtrax hybrid is basically NRG hybrid. And especially since it wasn't like Microtrax 20 hybrid or something, that would have separated it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But so I'm like, okay, well, this is reading like a physics that almost goes a little bit longer and has more shape, but with as torquey and quick as the physics was, I thought, that just isn't quite sounding right. So when I did drill the RST, I was expecting more physics, but I think for me it's been an even better physics, because sometimes the physics could be, while it was great and it usable, and you shot 850 with yours and a bunch of...
only 847.
Oh, okay.
850, because I wrapped a 10 pin on a 22 paper.
Yeah, that's what
I just suck, apparently.
Just round up.
Yeah.
But no, it feels like a little bit more controllable physics and a little bit more usable physics, because sometimes it could just be too much boom.
Yeah.
And so the RST for me feels like a bigger Nano Pearl, and so
Yeah, I can see that.
it's been, and I think it's more continuous. It doesn't, if you kind of dump it or bail out of it a little bit, the physics could stand up, which I don't think the RST really does. So for my money, I think it's a better physics, or a more usable physics anyway. I hate saying better or worse or anything out, because that's all relative.
Yeah, but it feels in that same range of
Yeah.
strength as a physics. It's just the way that core rounds off a little more down lane, I think, even expands their range of usability a little bit more, while still definitely having those same traits.
That's what I'm gonna say. Very usable, very versatile. Stu Williams, Beef Stew, hasn't put his down. I mean, he keeps posting on, and a lot of the pros, they try to stay away. They've been getting more active because there's not a whole lot going on for them right now. They're getting more active in the content creation, ball reviews, podcasts, whatever else. And they don't typically do a whole lot from the equipment side of things online. They don't really like push product or that stuff too awful much. But Stu's just been talking about the RST for like a month and a half now. And he just posted some, hey, we're balling the Marshall Holman pattern. And it looks like the RST is the ball again. And he's always throwing it. And it looks ridiculous for him. So I don't know why you wouldn't. But
yeah, if it strikes a lot, who cares?
Yeah, so it's
strike a lot. So.
Yeah, the RST is definitely one of the big surprises of the year. On paper, it looked good, but then you get it, and it's just that extra step above. I'm not going to say a next level, because I don't know how many levels there are. Everything's taking it to the next level, and unless we're talking about one of those, we
need more levels.
Yeah, those old school Nintendo games that never really ran out of levels. The AI just kept making them harder and harder until you finally died.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyhow,
so we have one ball left to talk about, and then we can spend a couple minutes. So it is 8:38 your time right now.
Yep.
So we've got the drawing about 20 minutes. So let's just talk briefly about the Proton. Then we can talk through the awards. I've got the poll results right here.
Okay.
And then we can talk through the discontinued list real quick. Just kind of touch briefly on what was discontinued. And then I think you have a pretty good spiel on why they discontinue stuff, because I know you've talked with Chad about this in the past.
Yeah.
And if we do all that, that should get us pretty close to 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
So,
yep. Sound good.
Off to the races.
Yep.
December 4th brought us our last release of 2020. This is the Storm Axiom Physics. Proton Axiom. Physics Axiom? Question mark.
Mr. Potato Head.
Yeah, so this was our third NEX release of the year. Same cover as the Axiom NEX Solid. A little more surface on this one. The Proton comes at 2,000 from the factory. It looks beautiful in person. This is like black, purple, and pink swirl with bright yellow labels.
Yeah.
And the core is a physics, so it's got that same atomic core as the original physics and as the Astro.
Yeah.
So another low RG, high diff, high int diff asymmetric core. So in that sense, it's very pedestrian.
Yeah.
But I know you and I talked about this some when you were starting to really like the physics. Is that atomic core feels a little more windy and climby and continuous than something that's really big and blocky, like the what is it, the nucleus?
Yeah,
core
the nucleus core.
Yeah, and so you have this monster cover sanded ASIM.
Yeah, but
the core seems to kind of do enough to blend things out and still make it climb down lane rather than just flattening out.
Yeah,
and
it's a more.
I think I just it expands that range of use a little bit. It does feel like a tighter range of use to me than the RST. Definitely more UFOs than RST in terms of the range of use. But it is still a bigger range of use than a UFO for me at least.
Definitely.
It is another gear up from the RST strength-wise, and so as such, it's one that I'm going to stare longingly at in the ball pile and say like,
yeah, exactly.
Oh, I wish I could throw this ball.
Yeah,
but I'm never going to be able to actually throw it, and so that's kind of been my experience with it.
Yeah, that's really.
If you need hook in a box, go buy 3. Yeah. If you don't, then buyer beware.
Yeah, that's kind of one of those unfortunate things. And again, I hate to say better, but I feel like it's an improved Halo. It's a more continuous halo. It's one you're gonna be able to use more. It's more versatile. It's a better halo. I mean, objectively speaking, not just staffer guy speaking. It objectively improves. It has all the good qualities or the standout qualities that people liked about the Halo, without the tendency to kind of quit down lane, or with the ability to get deeper on the lane, and still with the ability to play straighter. But it hooks a lot, and so it puts it up into that range where, unless you're on soup, or unless you want to I've seen some people mirror shine it and then get some use out of it there, which mirror shined Axiom looks pretty good too. I think Belmo's thrown a mirror shined Axiom a couple times and it looks really good.
Yeah, he used an Axiom to win the World Championship when it came out.
Yeah, but the Proton's just one of those it's going to be a specific use ball. It's built for heavy oil, and you don't see heavy oil a whole lot, but I think that it does kind of also have those alpha cruxy tendencies once you get a little bit of use on it and tame the cover down just a little bit. I
can see that. Yeah.
It's just got those versatile, blendy, continuous tendencies that everybody liked about the alpha too. So
just a little more in every regard.
Almost. Yeah. So I could actually see some of the pros using that on TV on some of the heavier conditions, but
yeah, for
sure. Again, there's still stuff like the idle in Phase 2, and speaking of the idle, that might be a good segue into the...
So let's take just a minute and talk through our awards.
The awards.
Yes. So first category is favorite new ball. This is just your favorite ball that came out in 2020 from Storm or Roto Grip. Quick, just run through the list again for everybody. January was the UFO. February was the Omega Crux and the Pitch Purple. March, we had the Nuclear Cell and the Axiom. June, we had the Hustle PBR, Hustle Wrap, Electrify Hybrid, and Electrify Pearl. August, we had the MVP Attitude, the Trend, the Parallax, and the IQ Tour Nano Pearl. September saw the release of the Rubicon. October was the Axiom Pearl and the Fast Pitch. November, we had the RST X1 and the Idle Synergy. And December, we saw the Proton Physics. So we had 43 total votes. Luke, what gets your nod in this category?
Just kind of the best one of the year, the most...
Favorite ball of the year?
I think it's the IQ Tornado Pearl.
Not surprised.
I think the RST is very quickly catching up to it, because it was a little bit too strong for me out of the box, but I've kind of discovered it in the last couple weeks. So I think if we had another couple weeks in the year, it would have definitely gotten up there, because I've been running those kind of in tandem. But it's the Tornado Pearl, because it's the most heavy use ball that I've had for the last month and a half now. So
yeah, I can see that. And the video I've seen of you throwing that Tour Nano Pearl has looked very, very good. So
yeah, it's just
totally get that.
I just put it down and it walks right up. It's hard to beat right now.
Yeah, there you go. I think mine should be pretty obvious here. Yeah. Axiom Pearl.
Yep.
I can't get enough of that ball. It's got a couple of unique tricks up his sleeve that I haven't really had in the bag with anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But it pairs so well with everything else. Like, I can go to or from this ball and going either way to like 4 other balls in my bag.
Yeah,
intuitive on all 4 of them.
It kind of looks like for everybody else what the Tornado Pearl looks like for me. It's just kind of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of hard to miss with.
And it looks like the poll agrees with me. The Axiom Pearl did run away with the voting for favorite new ball this year.
Mm-hmm.
So, second category is one that you and I don't really have much input on because we get everything.
Yeah.
But it's the hope to get, but you haven't yet. There was actually one ball this year that I never got. It was the Hustle RAP.
Uh-huh.
I think I would have liked it, but I also don't know how much I would actually use it, realistically speaking.
Yeah,
so, if anything, but I don't know if I can really say it because I never got around to it, and I honestly don't really miss it.
Yeah, it's one of those that, again, it's kind of a baby idle pearl, but when thrown side by side, it's close enough to the idle pearl that it might as well be one for all intents and purposes.
And that's not a reaction I ever really need.
Yeah, and most of the time I think I used the heck out of the idle pearl last year, but I think that the trend is kind of an improvement on that type of idea.
Yeah, I would agree with that, because I actually do like my trend
Yeah.
quite a bit.
When I want that type of ball, it will be the trend over the Idle Pearl pretty well every time.
Yeah,
Now that the trend
I can see
now
that.
that the trend exists, so
So, leading the charge on this one was the RST X1. It got 7 votes, and close behind it was the Axiom Pearl with 6.
mm-hmm.
So I think that kind of illustrates a lot of people seeing how good those balls are and just haven't had a chance to get them yet because they come out pretty late in the year.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's quite a few states are still shut down and can't bowl. So
Yeah.
Rest in peace. Hope you're all able to get back to it soon and hopefully get these in your hands.
Yeah.
Didn't make the bag. This is one that you and I talk about quite a bit. I know we touched on it a little bit in this video before. This is the one where you got the ball and you really liked it, but it just couldn't really find a home in the bag. So what gets the nod for you here?
That one's really tough because there's a bunch of them that just kind of sit there and that I think about and stare at.
I'll tell you what. I have 2, so I'll give you 2.
Okay. I think the Parallax here recently, because I threw it a bunch when it came out,
Really?
and then some
Okay.
other stuff has kind of nudged it out. But I mean, especially because you didn't like it, that made me talk it up even more. And then it just seemed to work out a lot. And I think the other one for me is the Omega Crux, because it's another one of those that's just great, but it just is not going to see action on a house shot over some of the other stuff that I've got. And we see a bunch of different sport patterns, and so it really kind of needs more of a specific sport pattern or something that the Tour Nano Pearl doesn't work on, because that seems to be working on everything. So I think that those are the 2 for me, are the Parallax and the Omega.
Okay, that's fair. Mine, and I know I touched on this before, is I'd say my number 1 pick has to be the original Axiom here, because it's a ball that I very much enjoyed using. New cover and new core, but it all ended up feeling very, very familiar at the end of the day. And it was a really fun ball to throw. It's just, I feel that little bit better about the Phase 2 in my hands. And I have that little bit of extra trust, that little bit of extra confidence in it with the Phase 2. And so it kicks the Axiom out for that reason and that reason alone. The Rubicon is kind of in that same boat, just in a slightly different way as well. That the pin down one especially has been absolutely incredible when I've thrown it. But it's just the cover feels like R2S solid to me.
Yeah.
But the core strength is very much Phase 2 level, especially with the pin down one that I've got.
Yeah.
And as such, it just kind of ends up being in this never land of like this kind of in between ball that, if I was taking a really small bag with maximum coverage, then yes, the pin down Rubicon might get the nod.
Yeah.
But realistically, it's so hard to say I'm taking the Rubicon instead of an IQ Tour Solid. And it's also hard to say I'm taking it instead of a Phase 2.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to for me.
And I think a lot of these are ones that, if we drilled fewer balls every year, even if we drilled, 5 or 6 balls a year even, these balls would be in the bag easily. It's just when we got everything to pick from, and especially if we drill multiples of the same ball, we can dive so much deeper into the little minutia of reaction. It's like, this one's just a hair better than this one in this situation, or I'm a hair more comfortable with this one, and so that's where I think that we get the extra help there, the extra convenience or something of being able to pick between 2 things that, for all other intents and purposes, a Rubicon would be going everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly. And if it's like I said when you were talking about the Axiom, is if the Phase 2 didn't exist, I'd take it everywhere and throw it all the time.
Yeah. So,
but the Phase 2 does, so I don't. That's literally all it comes down to.
Yeah.
Leading the voting on this one, in this category, got the least number of votes out of the 5. The nuclear cell actually won by a pretty wide margin on this.
Yeah.
So that was something I didn't quite see coming. I'm guessing that's just because of how strong it is. I guess I'm not sure.
Yeah, the combination of strength and friction response is what definitely put it over the top for me. Because if it was just a little bit smoother, I'd have thrown it more. Or if it was just a little bit weaker, I'd have thrown it more. But because it really did look good at 3,000, and that's what, if people were wanting a hypercell fused replacement, that's definitely the closest one, especially once you get a few games on it. But yeah.
But it's yeah. I mean, for me, it was one where I knew before I drilled it that I probably wasn't going to keep it, just because I don't need that much help from the ball. So that's all it comes down to.
There was one interesting question in the comments I want to get back to. Shred the Rack Bowling. What ball that came out this year will last the longest?
Ooh.
And I think
Axiom.
Yeah.
I think it'll be the OG Axiom, and I think the Axiom Pearl is going to stick around for a really long time too.
I'm biased, but Nano Pearl. But
yeah,
again, I think that's more of a biased pick than like an actual intelligent, objective pick, because I think the Axiom is going to be around for a while, because you said that Kyle Troop says it's kind of the new daddy ball on tour, and that tends to give more longevity to stuff if people are still throwing it on TV a lot. Didn't quite work out that well for the Idol. Of course, I think it did, because I think the Idol was kind of nearing the end of its lifespan, much like the Phase 2 to begin with. The original Phase came out, people were super divided on it. Phase 2 came out, nobody cared for a solid year, and then I think it was pretty close to getting the axe, and all of a sudden everybody was throwing them at tournaments all the time.
Yeah.
And then the Idol was kind of the same way, where it was strong, and it was almost too strong for a lot of stuff, and then the tour guys started using it, and then I think that bought it like another year and a half, almost.
Yeah. And now here we are, and the ball's been out for 4.5 years and still going strong.
Yeah.
So, let's see, where were we?
Yeah, I think it's time.
It's not. We got 2 more categories real quick.
Okay.
Engage the memes, boys. It's time for the stinker of the year category. This was the ball that where he just got it and he didn't like it. It was a no good, very bad, very miserable experience, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
I think I know what yours is. I know everybody in the chat should know what mine is.
I think, everybody in the chat definitely knows what yours is. I think
so what is yours? 'Cause I have a guess, but I'm not sure.
It's the pitch purple.
That is not my guess.
I can't say Axiom Pearl, because even though the Axiom Pearl is just one of the worst balls, that specific one that I got, in that specific layout, this specific situation, was one of the worst balls I've ever thrown, but it looks good for, and not just good, but it looks ridiculously amazing for literally everybody else. And so I think that, my experience aside, I would still recommend it to anybody, because it looks amazing for everybody else I see throw it. So I can't...
Just not for you.
Yeah, it's just not for me.
It was a dud for you. It doesn't mean it's a stinker for everybody.
Exactly. So that's one of those things where it actually goes the opposite direction, where people think, well, you talk a bunch of stuff up, but it may not be good for everybody. It's like, well, this one's one that wasn't good for me personally, but it is good for everybody else. So I can't say that. The pitch purple is kind of one of those picks where it's like, well, it's urethane, so it kind of fits in a different category. It's not really like one of the big resin releases. Yeah. But I think that kind of gets the vote for me. I can't think of anything else that would really... Nothing else was like really bad. It's just stuff that I either used or didn't get a chance to use, or didn't kick anything else out of the bag. I just can't.
Yeah, that's fair. Mine, and what will come to a shock to absolutely nobody that's paid attention to this stream or my YouTube channel or Discord for any length of time, is Parallax. Yeah. Heck that ball. It can go to heck. I don't heckin' care.
Yeah. Bad matchups.
Yeah, no kidding. Running away with the voting, by the way, was the pitch purple.
Mm-hmm.
That was by far and away the winner for stinker of the year.
Yeah.
I just want to pause very briefly before we talk about the surprise of the year and then the discontinued list. I just saw Angel say that money is still coming in. So the drawing deadline is in about 5 minutes. So that is 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central. So if you want to go on ahead and get entered, I am about to paste the donation links in the chat right now.
Yep.
There you go. They are posted. So go on ahead and get PayPal or Venmo, your choice. Get those in. Every $10 you enter, every $10 you donate will earn you an entry in the giveaway. We are currently, $130 away from triggering our 4th giveaway item, which is awesome.
Cool.
So far, we're giving away 2 packs that include a signed jersey and card for Carolyn Doran Ballard, a bowling pin signed by a PBA pro, Tom Hess or Brad Miller, a Panda Pack patch, and a Storm Roto patch. Also giving away a package with a tourney tote, a T-shirt, a chamois, a signed card from Carolyn Doran Ballard, and then a Panda Pack and Storm Roto patch. So we've got those going, and if we get another $130 in, then we'll be giving away another package that is a free Storm or Roto Grip bowling ball of your choice that is currently on the market, and a Panda Pack patch. So that is where we stand right now. We're at $1,870 if I'm reading this list right, which is absolutely awesome.
Virginian says he doesn't see the links in the chat there. Did they actually go through, or did they? Sometimes YouTube's dumb about not allowing links in the stream chat. Okay.
Yeah, they're in the stream chat.
Oh, okay. I don't see them either, so I don't know. You can always scroll all the way back up to the very beginning. Well, I guess it doesn't.
They're posted in the stream description as well.
Okay, yeah. If you're on widescreen or full screen right now, click out of that and go down to the description. They're perma-linked there. So yeah, if you don't see them in the stream chat, don't worry about it. Back out, scroll down, click Show More in the description, and they're down towards the bottom where it says PayPal and Venmo. So, they are perma-linked in the description. So,
perfect.
Let's...
final category is Surprise of the Year. This is the ball where you weren't really sure what to expect going in, but it was like you started throwing it, and then you realize, oh, hey, this ball is actually awesome. So, Luke, what gets the nod for you in this category?
I think that this one's kind of obvious, too. I think it's the RST.
Yeah.
I think it's just... Just on paper it looked like it was going to be pretty good, but it's green, and I don't know why and I think that it sometimes balls like that don't have like super flashy shelf appeal kind of go like, oh, maybe it'll be good, maybe it won't, but once you actually get it out there and get throwing it, it's legit.
Yeah.
It's one that you can listen to the staffer. Well, there's not really a ton of it. The staffer hype is continuing to build, but I think that you can trust the staffer hype on this one.
Yep, I'd agree, and the RST gets my nod as well for this category. And I think I talked about this a little bit. I wasn't really, another standard ASIM, balls I don't get to throw a ton in the first place, and this new really weird looking core, and I'm like, what's this actually going to do?
Yeah. And
then I start throwing it, and holy heck, that ball's amazing. So
yeah.
This was the closest voting by far. There was a three-way tie at 4 votes each for the Hustle PBR.
Yeah, I can buy that.
Yep. The Rubicon, which I did not see that one coming as a surprise item, but fair enough.
Yeah.
And the RST. So.
Yeah, I think that once the Rubicon was announced, most people I had thought that when it was announced, it's like, oh, okay, this is gonna be good. And I think it delivered. And the PBR was one that's like, I don't know why this ball hooks so much, but it's the best budget. It's definitely the strongest budget ball out there. I would almost argue that the PBR is better for the HP1 line than what the show-off was for the HP2 line.
Yeah.
Just because it's same type of idea, but the PBR is almost as strong as the show-off somehow.
Yeah, somehow. That's crazy. So that is the I guess those are the ball awards for this year. Just a quick rundown of them. Favorite new ball: Axiom Pearl for me, IQ Nano Pearl for Luke, Axiom Pearl in the voting. Hope to get but haven't yet. Nothing really for Luke, nothing really for me. Leader of the voting was the RST. Didn't make the bag. I said Axiom and Rubicon because the Phase 2 exists. For Luke, the Parallax and the Omega both been getting a little marginalized recently. And for the voting, the winner was the Nuclear Cell. Stinker of the Year was the Pitch Purple by popular voting. Luke took the Pitch Purple, and in a shock to nobody, I took the Heckin' Parallax because heck that ball. Surprise of the Year, Luke and I agreed the RST gets the nod here. That ball's been seriously impressive. RST, Rubicon, and PBR are tied in the voting. So I guess... Luke, let me talk through the discontinued list real quick, and then you can talk a little bit about the whole thought of why stuff gets discontinued, and we can go from there. The discontinued list, and this is as of earlier this week, the Astrophysics, the IQ Tour Emerald, the All Road, the Idol, the Wild Streak, the MVP Pearl, the Hustle HSB, which is the black and silver one, and the Hustle 3TP, which is the purple one with the gold labels. So effective immediately, all of those are discontinued. I've been hunting for Astro Blanks, and they have been very hard to find. So good luck on that front. Idols were gone instantly from what I heard. That wasn't one that I really chased after too much, but just know if you wanted that ball, good luck. So yeah, that's the discontinued list. Got a couple of surprises in there, but really, if you look at it, aside from the Wild Streak and the MVP Pearl, everything on that list was out for 18 months or more.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty solid run in the current equipment climate.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Idol was out for just over 3 years, I think. Astro Emerald and the Hustles were all Astro Emerald, All Road, and the Hustles were all like summer into early fall of 2019. So they had a pretty good run.
So about a year and a half for those.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what we got on the discontinued list. Look, I know I've seen some questions in the chat tonight. Even of just like, how could they discontinue X ball? Mainly around the Astro, the Emerald, and the Idol. But I know you talked with Chad some about this when you did the interview with him. So I guess maybe you want to talk for just a minute about what actually goes into making the decision to discontinue a ball and why we might see some of this.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, before we do that, Angel said we are up to $1,900. It is also after 9 o'clock, so we're definitely going to go ahead and round that up to $2,000. So we'll be sending $2,000 to Pawsitive Tales once again, which is the same amount that we ended up sending them in May. So that's great. And going forward, we're probably going to do it once a year. We didn't want to, because she likes doing stuff for her birthday. We're probably going to do something different for that. We're not going to, fundraise you to death all the time. So we'll do something a little bit different for her birthday. But I think we probably will do one of these a year annually, because this is the most critical and most helpful time really for the rescue. So we'll probably make this an annual thing. And I think this kind of works with doing the recap of the year and talking through stuff like that and doing the donation thing instead of just. Last time it was just the fundraiser for her birthday, and we just kind of rambled about stuff. So I think that this actually works out really well. So we'll have something different and exciting for Angel's birthday that'll be quite a bit of fun too. But we are going to go on ahead. Donations, entries, everything are closed now, and we're going to have $2,000. So we triggered the final giveaway, which is a Storm Roto ball of your choice, a signed Carolyn Doran Ballard card, Panda Pack patch, and a Storm patch. So, but going on to the discontinued list, the unfortunate thing is that people like new stuff even if they want the same stuff. So it's one of those things where they do want to stick with something. It's a really fine line to walk, and I've talked to him about how difficult it is to design new balls when you have stuff stick around, like an IQ Tour and a High Road and a Phase 2 and an Idol and everything else. And it's like, well, if you let so many of those good balls stick around for so long, how do you really build around them? And at some certain point, even though people have drilled so many of the same ball, people still kind of want a different ball at the same time. I had, just as an example, and I didn't have this didn't actually continue, but it has happened before. Somebody told me the other day, they're like, hey, I've got an IQ Tour Solid. I've thrown it for 4 years. I've resurfaced it a half a dozen times and blah, blah, blah. And he didn't know that they were still making them. And so he ended up saying, okay, yeah, if they're still making them, I'll just go get another one of those. I wouldn't say most, but a lot of people don't really do that. They say, well, what's comparable to this? And I'm like, well, if you liked it, just go drill another one. Just pull a James Phase 2 on it, and just drill another one. I'm like, well, yeah, but I'd kind of like something a little bit. It's not terribly exciting to drill the same ball again if you, number one, don't get a whole lot of balls. If a new ball is something that's a whole lot of fun for most people, and the idea of getting the same ball again is kind of like, I don't want to, I want something similar, but I want something kind of new and fresh. And so that is the thing, that once they put out new bowling balls, and people would continue to buy the same old ones every time they needed something, but there's a lot of people out there that will buy something new just because it's new and it just came out, not because they actually need it, but because they want it. So consumer demand is a little part of it there. But every once in a while, they do kind of update things and kind of rebrand some things. And specifically when talking about, even though the IQ Emerald just got the axe, when they were talking about putting that back out, Chad said, we could have re-released the Gold Ball, but when they did the re-release of the Marvel Pearl in 2016 or 2017, I think, it was, oh my god, it was just big news for like 6 months, and then distributors couldn't get rid of them because everybody, the Marvel Pearl's back, and then it died down super quick, and so I think the Emerald lasted longer than a Gold Ball re-release would have. And so some of it's consumer demand, some of it's kind of recycling things, some of it's kind of or freshening things up. So even though they did kind of re-release the IQ Tour Pearl, they kind of rebranded it.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the thing. And then constantly working around. Sometimes stuff has just run its course. Like, again, there was nothing wrong with the physics either when it got discontinued. And that's what he said. He said, no, it was still selling pretty well. But, consumer demand just means that its time has come, and so we just go on to something new, and people will remember it. But then we get something like an RST, and given that we have the RST now, like that would be fighting with the physics for a spot in the bag, and I would have to pick the RST at this point. Yeah. And so that's one of the things that we got told, that all the staffers got told. It's like, yes, these are a lot of people are going to be screaming, and I know that a lot of the staffers were screaming. I'm sure that Simo has 2 or 3 cases of idols, because he threw that a whole bunch. So I'm sure, and Milan, I'm sure got a couple cases of emeralds and whatever else. But at the same time, they have more things coming down the pipeline. That's what he says. Like, we don't just discontinue stuff and then ignore the fact that it existed. We had the Code Black for a while, and then people missed it, but then we got the Astro, which I think there's a bigger delta between that than there is between the RST and the... but it's still in that similar idea or that similar window, and so they're not just going to discontinue something and kind of leave us high and dry. They're going to... there's more stuff coming out that is going to either replace them, improve upon them, freshen them up, and of course everybody's going to say, well, but it's not quite this ball. But people say the same thing about the High Road. It's like, well, yeah, but the 2009, the 2009 was better than the new ones. It's like, how do you even remember that? How do you even remember, and how do you just maybe the... All right, we're back.
Yep. Don't forget to refresh those streams.
Get a Ryzen 9 3900X for streaming. Yeah, we've got a pretty good desktop. It's not crazy. We've got a Ryzen 7 RTX 2060.
Yeah, I've got a similar rig in the computer I built. So.
The streaming laptop, it's a gaming laptop, but it's probably 3 or 4 years old now. It's an Inspiron 5000. So I guess it's kind of interesting to think about. It's like, well, we just bought it. Well, we actually bought it 3 or 4 years ago now. So anyhow, probably what will happen is, since I do a lot of these streams, instead of using because we had gotten the laptop originally because I was going to stream some league or some tournaments or whatever, but bowling alley Wi-Fi. Enough said. Yeah. So we will probably get a desktop to stream from down here, and then this laptop will go to just being Angels. Anyhow, so I was rambling forever about the discontinued ball list. But I would say never to fear, because we've already gotten the RST, which virtually replaces the physics in my eyes. Having an RST, having an RST, I don't miss the physics. Something like a Rubicon kind of replaces the Code X, kind of, reasonably speaking. And then you get something like the Rubicon UC2 that's coming out, which could have some very strong Astro vibes, We'll see.
Yeah.
But judging by what the Rubicon acts like, I would say it's a very reasonable possibility. I won't have any idea before I get to throw it, so we're not getting into speculation territory. On paper, it looks like it could be pretty close to the Astro, but we'll find out.
Yeah, no, that's fair. So I'm just checking a couple things real quick.
Yep. And yeah, we're working on setting up the drawings here, which will happen here before too long. As soon as we finish up talking about giving the eulogy to all the big heavy hitters.
May they rest in peace.
Yep. But silence. So yeah, the Rubicon UC2 comes out January 29th, so I'll be able to put videos up on the 8th.
Nice.
So
I'm definitely looking forward to ordering that one.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I think that one should be a lot of fun. It's going to take a lot to pry the TNP out of my hands, but and plus
that one might be able to pull it off.
Yeah. Plus, I've got some other stuff that I'm trying to. I've got a code 0 sitting staring at me here that's going to get plugged and redrilled before it cracks. So,
okay.
But yeah. So I've had my Plug Crux Prime sitting up there and my Plugged Righty ProMotion sitting up there ready to drill, and I just haven't gotten around to putting holes in it yet because I'm staring at a pink phase and an IQ Tour Pink and an Outcry and a Phase 3 SE and my Phase Tour and all the phases. Plus, I'm acquiring a pink Badger from Canon on Monday. Thanks, Canon. So
very nice.
Yep.
All right. So we have our winners. If you're ready.
Oh, yeah. If you've already done the drawing and we're ready to go. So the first
I just punched everything in and ran the drawing. So it's got a timestamp on it.
So the first one that we're going to be drawing for is the Tom Hess pin, and we will randomly select one of the Carolyn Doran Ballard jerseys that you see.
He's got the list on the
up on the
Google sheet.
Oh, okay. So you can just read the items off. I can kind of show them off. You'll see the picture of the Carolyn Doran Ballard stuff in a general that way direction I've had on the whole time. So one of those, one of the signed players cards, one Panda-Pack patch that you see on the screen that looks like that. They're nice and shiny and pretty, and they're actually fairly sizable too.
Yeah, they're solid.
And then Storm.
Choice.
One of your choice. One of the Storm patches, the stick-on rubber patches that are really crazy nice.
Yep, and this is the Tom Hess bowling pin as well, correct?
Yep.
All right.
Got it right.
Awesome. Our first winner, if I can get a drum roll in the chat, please, is Rook LV from Discord.
Oh, there we go.
Congrats to you, Anthony. Hope you enjoy it. And
Yeah, Anthony.
He wasn't gonna make it. He donated ahead of time. He told us that.
Yep. Anthony in Las Vegas.
Yep. So he's been an awesome guy to have around in the Discord chat.
Yeah, really. Yep.
And you've linked the Discord a couple times, haven't you, James? Did I miss
I have, but my links aren't working, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why.
We
need to take a look at the stream settings after this and see if there's a setting we can flip.
Yeah, people should know about Discord by now, but Discord, Storm Nation, no spaces.
How about once you're done, since the comment section will show up, you can link an invite into there.
Okay.
Yeah, that works. Prize pack number 2. Luke, I believe it's the same basic idea, except for the signed bowling pin this time is from Brad Effin Miller himself.
Yep, Brad Miller, sportsmanship.
So other than
guy.
that, everything else is the same.
Saw him today.
Signed jersey, signed card, Panda-Pack patch, and a Storm or Rotogrip patch of your choice.
Yep.
Drum roll, please. The winner is Virginian, aka Will from Discord. Congrats, Will.
There we go.
You now have a Brad Miller signed bowling pin and some awesome swag from Carolyn Doran Ballard and a couple patches.
Yep.
And he is typing a bunch of B's in the chat. I'm not sure if that means he's excited or not.
Not Anthony S from Vegas. It's Anthony Moore from Vegas.
Yep. And a side note for the CDB stuff, we don't actually have it yet. She shipped it.
Yeah, but I mean,
So it's just...
they're already in the Discord chat, so we can, that's
Yeah, that makes that one
easier to
easy.
work with on
Yeah,
that.
just
That
more
makes
sharing
both of
for
those
people
easy.
to know.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
friendly reminder.
And for the next two, we'll have to order the bag and the shirt and the ball for the next two, so it'll probably be a month before we get these to you. Just
Yep.
Oh, the humanity.
yeah, I know.
Prize pack number 3 is the Storm Tournament tote, the Heckin' Urethane t-shirt, a chamois, signed Carolyn Doran Ballard playing card, the Panda Pack patch, and a Storm Roto Grip patch of your choice. Another drum roll, please. Our winner is Matthew Lawler, who I believe
Oh, yeah, I know.
donated from YouTube.
Yeah, yep. I know Matthew.
Yep, congrats to him.
So, yeah.
Matt will be reaching out over email to get this figured out.
Yep.
Hope you enjoy the new swag.
Mm-hmm. Heck yeah. The bag is really sharp. It's still in the trunk.
Oh,
But
oh
you
my
can
goodness.
see it on the website. It's the one with the blue metallic trim, and that's the one that we're giving away because it looks substantially better than the rest of them. So we just made the decision.
The new ones look really sharp in person.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yep, I'm a big fan.
They are
of these
Panda
ones.
approved.
Yep.
Yep, there you go. And then our final giveaway item is a Panda Pack patch and your choice, both weight and model of any ball in the current production line. This means you cannot get an original idol. We are very sorry.
Yeah. So any of the stuff that just got discontinued, we can't find them. But
Yeah,
and I think
even,
we did.
mean, we're staffers. We can't order this stuff anymore.
Yeah. Now we did
So.
talk about this. If
They gone.
you want to wait until we can get one of the Rubicon UC2s, we will include that as an option.
Yeah. There you go.
So
But you said release date is January 29th for that, correct?
yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So that would be a little bit longer wait than something that's currently available, but if you want to wait for it,
If
we're
it's a ball
making
you've been
that.
eyeballing, then
Yeah,
might as well, right?
we're making that an option.
Yep. So congrats to Paul Johnson for winning
yeah.
his choice of any ball in the current product line plus a Panda Pack.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yep.
Congrats to you guys.
Awesome,
actually,
possum.
I'm gonna just share my screen real quick. Share screen. Host disabled participant screen sharing. That is unfortunate.
Yeah, I didn't, but whatever.
Okay.
Share.
Can you
Okay.
make
Yeah, I
me
can
the-
click it on the.
Can you make me the host real quick?
Let me see. No, participants.
Open up the participant list.
Yep,
You should be able
I'm
to
working on make
make
host.
me host there.
Yep. Okay.
Awesome. I am the host now. And you all should be able to see my screen behind Luke. So I used namepicker.net for this. We've got the list of all of the donators right here. We've got 168 here. We had a couple of people donate that
Yeah.
didn't. They said, if you guys hit us, then just re-roll it.
Mhm.
And so we eliminated their names from the list. That's why it's 168 and not 195.
Yeah. Mhm.
And then you scroll down here, picking 4 names, same name as possible in one draw.
Yeah.
So there's the possibility that someone could win multiple items. And then I'll blow this up a little bit more. You can see the winner's name picker. I got the 4 names right here, and you can see the timestamp that it happened just a few minutes ago at 10:14 Eastern time.
Yep.
So there you have it. Congrats to everyone. Hope you'll enjoy the swag.
Yeah.
And Virginian, I am extremely jealous that you have the Brad Miller bowling pin. I
Yeah.
kind of want that, so I hate you now.
Well, we can.
I'm going to
We
see him
can get
tomorrow,
more.
so I was
Yeah.
actually going to ask Larry if he will sell us a couple bowling pins, and we will put a couple BFM bowling pins back for the next fundraiser.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Yep.
So-
We saw Packy yesterday, and today, and we're gonna see him tomorrow. Frankie is gonna be there tomorrow too. So we happen to
Yeah.
be lucky enough to see all these people on a
Actually,
regular
I should just
basis
send Jesse
at
something.
tournaments. So yeah.
Because I'm
And-
not. I mean, I would imagine both Larry and Jess. But you need to shout out Royal Crest Lanes for what they did today.
Oh yeah, Royal Crest Lanes is awesome. By the way, as if you didn't already know, we had the Royal Crest Lanes in Lawrence, Kansas, where that's where we started filming videos. Some of the videos at Angel's share of our review videos gets filmed there, and we had a tournament. One of the sweeper weekend is at Royal Crest. So we had the singles tournament today. We'll have the doubles tournament tomorrow, and yeah, they always take great care of everybody, and they have several people wandering. There's several employees wandering the concourse. Nobody ever had to call in anything because
So
they
if you
were
hit
on
the
top of it.
intercom button, they've already called it back.
Yeah, yeah. If you hit the intercom button because there was a pin out or something, by the time the front desk answered, it was taken care of. So.
Larry himself was there walking around.
Oh yeah, the
general
owner's always
manager,
there.
Jesse was there,
Mhm.
and Guru guy Rusty. I don't know his actual title, but he's everything. He
Yeah,
was
I
there.
know it's kind of a. Yep.
All three of them wandering this 40-lane center. We had nothing to worry about, and I even seen Jesse delivering people's drinks a couple times.
Yeah, and I think Rocky was in the back, the mechanic.
Yes, he was cleaning up tables like the second we got done and sanitizing everything. It was just done.
Yeah, they do a great job there. So if you're passing through Lawrence at any point in time, home of the Kansas Jayhawks for basketball, football, they're not officially recognized as a football school. COVID shut down the season. Darn.
Hate to see it.
Yeah. But no, Royal Crest.
I'm not sure their numbers of winnings are any different.
Yeah, everybody there takes great care of us, and we really like bowling there. So.
Yeah, when I was out there for I was out there for Kansas City Open and
Yeah.
tried to sub hashtag illegal sub.
Yeah.
I was actually bowling against Jesse's team, and
Yes.
everybody there was a great group of people, and it was in a center where they
Yeah.
in a center where they give a damn, man.
Yeah.
That says so much. That the GM and the AGM were there during a tournament, running around. Like, I've never seen a center around here do that. Like that's just kind of that's a level above, honestly. And I think that's something that really sets them apart at Royal Crest. So props to them. I wish that league in particular and that center in general is one that I wish I had a chance to bowl at more often. So
they're just fantastic. It's the only center. They don't have there's some places that when they're the only center, they have no competition. So why worry about it? They are the only center in Lawrence. There's 2 centers in Topeka and 12 centers in Kansas City area, and they are fantastic.
Yeah,
they act like there's 20 centers in town and they're competing.
Yeah, and that lack of complacency, I think, shows the moment you walk in the door, and I think that's awesome to see. And they're doing an awesome job at that place.
Yeah, no, it's a bowling center owned and run by bowlers, so they
Clint Harris just said I have to go to freaking Ohio to bowl a tournament tomorrow.
Oh yeah,
that's
Clint.
Unfortunate because number one, you have to drive, and number two, you have to go to Ohio.
Yeah, you have to go to Ohio. Yeah, where's Blackadder, Mr. Joe Zapansky? Knows all about Ohio.
Yeah, which is why he makes regular chips.
All right, let's torture one of the doggos here for a second and get them on camera to thank everybody for the donations. We'll I think we'll get that all taken care of and send the money over on Monday once we get everything taken care of and organized. And of course, we're going to be at a tournament all day tomorrow. So. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll get Measles in the picture here. Oh, I'm sorry, Measles. I know. I didn't set it up right. Hi, Measles. Hi, baby. I know. Is the Measles? Yep, the Measles face is in there. Yep. This is Mistletoe. If you've seen several of the streams, you've seen Missile a lot. She doesn't really like being held. She doesn't mind the video camera so much. But yeah, You say hi, Mistel? She's like, yeah, I really don't care. She looks like a little German Shepherd puppy, but she's a German Shepherd cattle dog Papillon mix. And so she looks like a German Shepherd puppy.
Her face is being mostly blocked by the CTV swag photo.
Oh, yeah, actually, let me get rid of that. So now that yeah, here's Missile. No, we're not. Yeah, I'm just going to go on ahead and delete. Move, delete, save scenes. Bam. Yep, now the Measle will show up here in a second. Yep. You like the ear scratches, don't you? Yep, there's the Measles. You can barely see her because she's got a pretty dark face, so.
Yeah. She's a good pupper, though.
Yep. You're the good Measles. So. Yep.
Wasso thought he was going to die.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually hosted Dave Waswo when he was on the he was on the Bull TV show with Matt Cannizzaro and Aaron Smith, and he was not confident in his equipment at home, and so got him all taken care of down here. And yeah, Missile has the most vicious, scary bark that you've ever heard out of a dog, especially for her size. And
any dog with a black face, like pure black, and they come at you with their teeth and a deep bark.
Oh yeah,
it makes everybody almost wet themselves. And
Aspen Piggy.
Oh no, I'm not torturing
her.
Please don't make me torture
Well,
her.
and she weighs 1,000,000 pounds, so.
I'd rather pick up you than pick up Aspen.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was the year in action. We raised $2,000 for Pawsitive Tails Rescue out of KC once again.
$4,000 if you include May.
Yeah. So we raised $4,000
awesome.
for him this year, and that definitely helps him out quite a bit. Once again, if you want more information or to see where your money went and how it's been spent, check out the Facebook link in the description for the Lance Tucker Memorial Fund through Pawsitive Tails Kansas City. And we lost the frickin' stream again. Kind of? Oh, no, it's trying. We're trying to lose the stream.
It just means it's tired of you rambling.
Yeah. Well,
that sounds about right. We should probably call it now before it actually kills
Yeah, technology doesn't like me. So, all right. Yeah. Thanks again, everybody. Thanks again to James for taking care of most of this stuff.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It was a lot of fun today.
Yeah, I just sat here and rambled about stuff. So
you were going to do that either way. So you might as well raise $2,000 for puppers.
Yeah, so that's definitely.
And sneak peek when I'm out there in a couple of weeks for the New Year's tournaments.
Yeah,
Luke is doing a mystery drilling stream for me on December 31st.
Mystery.
Exact time.
Yeah.
I basically figured out what it is.
I was going to say, you've narrowed it down to what, like 3 now, I think?
I have it down to 2. I'm not sure which one it is.
Okay.
But I'm also not ruling out the idea of you guys just putting a parallax in that box.
Well, yeah, we might have to throw a curveball at you now. Who knows?
My IQ tour solid came, and it does not smell like apple crisp.
It smells like a parallax.
The really good ones don't, actually.
Yeah,
I've noticed.
When you get excited about the scent of a ball and it never smells like this. I got two Crux Primes now that smell like a parallax instead of.
But I will say, if it is the parallax that's on there, like that's the scent of it, it's a more muted scent.
Okay,
it's not as strong. So I am okay with that because I don't hate the smell of the parallax. I hate that mine came so strong.
Yeah, no, that's fair. So, anyways, what I've agreed to do with Luke is he has a new inbox Storm Roto ball. I don't know I have an idea of what it is. I don't know what it is for sure. And I'm basically going to hand Luke a drill sheet and say, drill me a ball. And I am literally not going to find out what that ball is or what the layout is until we turn the camera on and start drilling. So
yes.
I figured it'd be a fun chance to try both.
Yeah,
me kind of stretching my limits a little bit and maybe seeing a little different shape out of my bag. But also, Luke got his start in this whole YouTube thing in the first place because he's a pro shop guy. He's a good pro shop guy at that, a really good pro shop guy.
Yeah, so awesome.
It's a chance for him to show his chops too because he's never drilled a ball for me. So it's a chance for him to show his chops as a PSO as well, is to kind of look at what I've got with me and figure out, what we could drill to kind of fill a gap in that arsenal, fill a need.
Yeah.
And explain why, and then actually go out and do it.
Yeah,
that's kind of the idea there, so it should be pretty fun.
Into some pretty good detail and talk about some smaller nuances and why this fits and why this layout and why this surface or...
Yeah, it's going to be drilling one ball that's going to take 2 hours of the stream.
Split some lines, split some hash marks on the ruler.
Yeah.
But,
so we'll have that.
It should be a really fun stream, so that'll be probably sometime in the evening on December 31st, and then we're also doing another live stream from the den at Aaron's on
the 1st
in the evening on New Year's Day,
and hopefully we'll have a special guest
or 3
or 3
or 3.
Yeah. Yeah, it's news I have not shared with either of you.
Yeah.
I might not even be on the stream at that point.
Yeah. No, it'll be great.
This would be Angel doing something at this point.
But no, if you saw the mega stream with us when James and Tamara were here in September, we're going to be back in the same place. I'm going to bring the board boxes. Hopefully and then Frank has the torch there, and so we should be able to do a bunch of really cool
so
stuff.
I can keep
and
missing the torch again. Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I can take more. I can take James's money then.
Yeah. We can.
I'm not betting you on this.
All right.
But
so,
anyways, it should be a very fun time around New Year's. Let's keep an eye out for more streams from there. But,
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, and as one final note for anybody who watches this or who is still watching, I am 65,000 just short views away from 2 million views.
Wow.
2 million video views for the year. So if you wouldn't mind watching an extra couple videos just for the heck of it, I'd appreciate being able to cruise to 2 million. Otherwise, I'm going to spam a bunch of ridiculous stuff just to get to that number.
SOGBBFS
Yeah. I'm
going
to all the stuff that I've been complaining about and the staff. Yeah,
You just
the
need to put me
truth
on
about ball
camera.
reviews and whatever else. Yeah, we're gonna.
We're
gonna have some throwback Thursdays and re-upload some videos or something. But we're gonna get to 2 million on the year. So anyway,
if you would have put me on camera when I got those signatures from BFM and Tom Hess that night, I was still bouncing around to like 3 a.m. with no caffeine, no anything. I was super excited.
All right. So thanks again. Once again, $2,000 for Positive Tales Kansas City. Congratulations to the winners. We had some. I mean, last time we gave away bowling balls, and those are cool. And we did still give away a bowling ball this time. But we had some cool, different stuff. You can always get a bowling ball, but some of this stuff is kind of unique stuff that you just can't get everywhere every day. So, without further ado, thank you, James. Thank you, Angel. Thanks everybody that donated. Congratulations to the winners. Really happy for Positive Tales Kansas City. And before this computer dumps us again, thank you and
Bye-bye.
good night. We have an early tournament in the morning.